It's time for Sports 56 Middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie. Sports 56 Middays is presented by FedEx. FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce.
And Virginia with the all-time turnaround title.
We, the North, are now we, the champions. The Raptors, the 2019 NBA champs.
3-2. Here it is! The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Let the good times roll. LSU sits on the throne of college football.
And this one is over. Kansas City has won their first Super Bowl in 50 years.
Now, here are your hosts for Sports 56 Middays, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
I got a piece of land out in the countryside. Lay back and smell the sun. Warm up the Georgia pine. Feels so good to be taking it easy. Why would I ever leave? 'Cause I know I got some good friends.
Welcome in, everybody. Good Tuesday morning to you. Time for another edition of Sports 56 Middays, live from the Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road. That's just north of I-40. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Gabe Kuhn with you. Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. Visit FedEx.com/e-commerce to see how FedEx can help you start, grow, and efficiently manage your business. Also, the first hour of the program is brought to you by our friends at James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar Avenue between Mendenhall and St. Elmo in East Memphis. Give them a call at 901-767-9648. The website, gaddisjewelers.com. Your bridal engagement and anniversary jeweler headquarters. Been serving Memphians and Mid-Southerners for 23 years. It's James Gaddis Jewelers. On the show today, the Grizzlies get hammered. It was a good time last night to catch up on your DVR'd shows, which I did after the first quarter because I wasn't going to watch the rest of that ugly game. And how much trouble are the Grizzlies in? Jaren Jackson Jr., as you know, on the shelf, and Brandon Clark was hurt yesterday as well. We don't know the extent of the injury, if he'll miss any games, but the Grizzlies road trip, which is a road trip from hell, will continue tomorrow in Houston and mercifully will end tomorrow in Houston before coming home on Friday to take on the Sacramento Kings. We'll talk Tigers. They're coming off a big win on Saturday against Houston and a must-win situation, and now really need to win on the road at SMU. SMU darn good at home. The Tigers will go in to play the Mustangs tonight at 8 o'clock. We will discuss that. On the program, Steve Macy from the University of Memphis will join us at 11:25, as he does every week. Also, Don Wade with The Dish at noon. He'll join us in studio. And at 12:25, Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com. We'll talk NFL Combine. It is underway from Indianapolis, Indiana. We got 2.5 questions today. Give you a chance to win a gift certificate, gift card to Humdingers in East Memphis with Humdingers Trivia. And we'll wrap it up with one final thing. So plenty on the docket today. Before we dive into the Grizzlies, Eli, yesterday as we were doing our show, the memorial for Kobe Bryant was on television. It was on ESPN, and didn't get a chance to hear it. We were watching it a little bit, and then I went home and I watched excerpts from it. First of all, it was incredible. I mean, that thing could have went on and on and on. In fact, there was talk that there were other people lined up to speak. Magic Johnson, Jerry West, others, Phil Jackson. So I don't know if they just ran so long that they couldn't continue because there was the Grizzlies game. But with music and with conversation and with tributes, I mean, it was very special. And to listen to Vanessa Bryant talk about her beloved husband and daughter lost in that tragedy, Michael Jordan and Shaq and Diana Taurasi and others just kind of mixing in stories about Kobe with a little bit of humor as well. I thought it was outstanding.
Yeah, it was Vanessa. That was pretty incredible for her to be able to get up there and speak as eloquently as she did and hold it together.
I know I would not have been capable of that in front of all of those people to do what she did. And then, I mean, the two funny highlights, without a doubt, were Michael Jordan, which I did not know Michael Jordan had any bit of humor in him. Like I never saw that one coming, and that's why it was just funny to watch everybody there. Like they kept showing everybody laughing. Like I think everybody was like, "Wow, Michael Jordan coming with a little humor, making fun of himself and the crying Jordan meme." Like that one just came out of the complete left field. Would have never guessed in a million years that Michael Jordan would have one of the funny lines of the day.
No question about it. And in a moment, not a moment, but obviously it was hours of this tribute, but it was a solemn occasion, yet still the humor, the stories that came out. And even though you're there to pay tribute to Michael and to Gigi,
to Kobe
and to Gigi, it was Michael Jordan that when he went up to the podium to lectern to talk, I mean, you could hear the buzz, like it's MJ.
I mean,
so Michael was.
We don't see Michael in we just
right.
Michael for you don't like. That's one of the things that like surprised me a little bit. It because it's Michael didn't surprise me a lot, but with All-Star Weekend being in Chicago, you would think like Michael would be front and center. He wasn't.
No, it was more Scottie Pippen.
Michael. We just don't get to see Michael a whole lot. He does not get in front of the cameras. He doesn't do a whole lot. And so when he does get up there, you're like, okay, this is the guy. This is the man. And obviously just the comparisons of Kobe to Michael, everything else, and then for him to bust that line out about the crying Jordan meme is just funny. Now, Shaq's line, Shaq gets up there, you expect Shaq's going to come with something. Like, Shaq's going to lighten the mood.
The profanity came out with Shaq.
Like, you just know, okay, if somebody's going to lighten the mood here, it'll probably be Shaq. And he did, and that was funny as heck. But it was those two things just made me laugh. But Michael's was just it was so surprising to me that made it so much more fun and more funny when he said it.
Well, in an arena filled with stars from all walks of life, but just talking about the basketball stars from Bill Russell to LeBron James to Magic Johnson, on and on, Jerry West. I mean, it was Michael that wowed everybody. So Michael gets up there, and like you said, just a funny line. And then Shaq. And folks, if you haven't seen it, you really need to go back and see this thing. It's all over the place on social media. But kind of paraphrasing, basically, Shaq was telling a story about him and Kobe, and that he said to Kobe, "There's no I in team." And then Kobe basically came back and said, "Yes, but there's a me, MFer." They had a very interesting relationship, to say the least. And then, as you said, Vanessa going up there in that situation to be able to speak as eloquently as she did and to keep it together was amazing. So well done. Again, it was interesting that they did it on a day when there was a game, so they were limited time-wise. They had to clear out of there to get ready for the game, but it was still a special day for everyone involved and everyone associated with the Mamba. Now, in that same arena, later in the evening, the Memphis Grizzlies, or a facsimile of a Grizzlies team that since the break has not looked anything close to the Grizzlies team we've seen most of the year, got hammered, as expected, by the Clippers, 124-97. All right, Jaren Jackson was hurt. Guess what? If they had Jaren Jackson, they would have lost, and they still got killed. So now we're going to hear the excuses about Jackson. Moving forward, yeah, you need a full arsenal to hang on. But this goes back to still look at the schedule. Look at the teams they are playing. You combine that with guys that really need to shoot the outside shot. Jay Crowder's now in Miami. Dylan Brooks, since the contract, cannot find the ocean from the pier. Now you take out Jaren Jackson Jr., your leading three-point shooter. You have no three-point options, or at least very limited options, which means it makes it so much tougher for Ja Morant, who looks like a mere human being now and not somebody from another planet. So teams are definitely game planning for him. He looks like a mere mortal. It's hurting him. It's hurting the team. The team has dropped to under 500. They're not going to win in Houston on Wednesday. They're going to do exactly what I thought they would do, unfortunately, go 0-4 on the road trip. And I don't see anything on the horizon, Eli, because I likened this on Twitter yesterday to a horse that is surprisingly out in the lead, leads for 3/4 of the race, comes down the stretch, and here comes a pack of 5 right behind him, and they are going to catch him. It's like NASCAR as well. When you have that one lone car out there and the other cars are drafting, they're going to catch you. And that, unfortunately, seems to be what's happening. I don't know what the Grizzlies can do. And now you have Jaren Jackson Jr. out for a minimum of 2 weeks before they even look at him again. Brandon Clark with a right hip soreness went out early, never came back. Haven't heard word about his injury. But even hip soreness usually means you'll miss games in the NBA because they're not taking chances. So I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe I'm, Debbie Downer and Mr. Pessimistic, but, sell me a better story.
Well, I mean, there isn't necessarily a better story to sell, but if they miss the playoffs, so what?
Right.
I mean, we didn't expect them to make the playoffs.
No.
So, who cares?
No, well, we care, but it's not the end-all, be-all. No, nobody is going to jump off the Hernando de Soto bridge in disgust if they don't make the playoffs. But what we've been talking about for the last month or so has been the possibility of postseason. So, yes, it is going to be disappointing. You're still actually in the playoffs if the playoffs were to start today. You still have a 2.5-game lead, but, again, they're all closing in on you. So, yes, in the scheme of things, in the big picture, it's not really a big deal. But when you get all fired up, a fan base, even the media, and get excited about the possibility of postseason play and maybe the Lakers coming here for meaningful games, great for the bottom line for the organization, and it falls through your fingertips, you're not happy because you have people bringing up a couple of different reasons. One, the trade. But we know why they made the trade, for the future. But people, and especially some of the NBA regulars that cover the sport, the proponents of deals or the guys that really rip deals, basically said that this was a bad deal for the present, but a good deal possibly for the future, depending on the health of Justice Winslow. But it would hurt the team. And I think people now are realizing just how important Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill were. Now, the other thing is Dylan Brooks. Again, still seems like a coincidence that since he's signed that contract, he hasn't been able to make any shots. He's been absolutely awful. And now you combine that with the injury to Jaren Jackson Jr., and teams are crushing Ja Morant. They're making it so hard for him to drive because a drive and a kick is no big deal. That's what they want with the lack of three-point shooting.
The starting lineup last night, 0 for 10 from three-point range.
There you go.
And, obviously Brandon Clark didn't play much as part of that. But the other guy, nobody made a single three in this game.
But how much of a threat is he from three-point land?
As much as everybody else in the starting lineup right now.
Right.
Probably the best.
Really? Oh, my God.
Well, Dylan can't make one. Kyle Anderson is not going to knock it down to three. Ja would be the best three-point shooter right now of that group.
Jeez.
But Brandon Clark's probably the second best until Dylan can figure out what the heck's going on with him. But this is a game that obviously 40-14 in the first quarter, regardless of lineups or injuries or anything else, is ridiculous. Like, that was a embarrassing first quarter. But they looked like, they had no business being on the floor at all with them. So that's a bit rough. But, yeah, it was a game they were never going to win. Once, if the Clippers have the full lineup and they come out engaged, which clearly they did, there's no way that Grizzlies team is going to beat that Clippers team in their building. They beat them earlier this year, so I'm sure the Clippers wanted to send a message like, okay, you beat us when we didn't have Paul George, all that fun stuff. This is us versus you.
And Paul George wasn't great last night, and Patrick Beverley and who else was it that was not 100% but played? Of course, Kawhi had a really good game, but it's a Clippers team that's really, really good. And then you mentioned the 40-14 shellacking in the first quarter. Grizzlies only had 37 total points at halftime. 37.
Well, you score 14 in the first. Yeah, it gets difficult.
It's just it.
You're not going to have 70. It's going to be tough. This is a very good defensive Clippers team. But, yeah, there was a lot of turnovers in that first quarter that were just sloppy, lazy. Like, the Grizzlies in the first quarter looked like a team that said, we're not winning tonight, So really, what does this matter? That's the impression I got from the first quarter was like, we're not winning this, so we're not exactly going to be real locked in on this one. It's interesting because with the way this schedule works out, I was thinking about this, with the fact, and we'll see what Brandon Clark's injury is if he misses time or whatever. Now, the fact that it's the Lakers on Saturday, it may not happen, but I would not be surprised at all if they sat Ja in one of the back-to-backs.
Possibly.
And it would be the Lakers, I think, because they would say, we're not beating them anyway, so it's a loss. But they may not want to do it because it's going to be a sellout crowd on that night. They may not want to they may want to put Ja out there in front of the sellout crowd at home. If it was anybody other than the Lakers, I think he absolutely would sit Saturday night.
Well, there are people that are saying, well, has he hit that proverbial rookie wall? I don't think he has. I think it's all the circumstances around him that have made it much tougher for Ja Morant. Much tougher for Ja Morant. And it's a shame. Because, again, bringing up this subject yesterday, you don't think it'll happen. I still think it's a possibility. The Pelicans end up in that 8th spot. Zion plays the rest of the way, scores between 25 and 30 a game. He may steal the Rookie of the Year award away from Ja. And it would be a really, really disappointing ending to what has been a surprisingly good season to this point. Now, when we come back, I would love to hear from the folks out there. Does it matter to you if they're in the playoffs this year? I mean, it's been fun. There's still a possibility. Why do you think they have struggled? What do you think the reasons are? It's certainly a combination of things, but what do you think about it? How important is it? The future is what's important for this Grizzlies organization. Nobody expected them to even be in the conversation for the postseason this year. They're way ahead of the schedule. What do you think about Ja? Is it a rookie wall that he's hit, or is it because of the pieces around him and he's not getting much support? So we'll take your calls on the First Bank phone lines after the break at 360-8255. You can text in on the First Bank text line at 67129. You can also watch us live and message us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and YouTube. And then we'll get into the Tigers, get your thoughts on the huge game tonight in Dallas against SMU. There was some crazy individual performances yesterday in the NBA. 50-pointers, high four. Embiid went for, 49?
Yeah. Well, it's, Bradley Beal gets, for the second straight day, gets a career high and becomes the first, which is weird because he does it on the day of Kobe's memorial service, becomes the first since Kobe to get 50 points in back-to-back games.
How about that? And they lose both games, the Wizards. Yeah.
And that's the other thing about the Wizards is, he is languishing in just, it's got to be frustrating for Bradley Beal to just be, because he's putting up these numbers and it's all for naught. Like you're just losing, putting up 50 a night to lose is just not fun.
But the cavalry is over the horizon in John Wall. John Wall is expected to come back from the injury for next season.
But what will John Wall be when he comes back?
That's a good question.
And the contracts make you limited on what you can do around them. So what exactly is that? What are the Wizards with John Wall and Bradley Beal?
What does and these were back-to-back 50-point-plus games, as you mentioned. That's very impressive. But even games when players can hit the 60 mark or the 70 mark, if you don't win the game, how much of the luster is taken off it?
A lot. It is. These guys still want to. Now if you're out of it, it may not be as bad. But if you're actually battling for playoff positioning and things like that, it certainly because what was that worth?
Right, I agree.
Anytime you put your name in the record book and stuff like that, there's still something to be said. But yeah, if you're just doing it in a bunch of losses, it's not that big of a deal.
All right, when we come back, again, if you'd like to participate in the program, it's okay if you don't want to. You want to just kick back and listen, drive around and listen, that is fine. But if you want to talk about the Grizzlies and how important is the playoffs this year, or is it not important at all? 360-8255. First Bank phone lines are open. First Bank text line 67129. All the other questions about Ja Morant, the trade, what's going on with Dylan Brooks. Is it a coincidence? Then we'll get into the Tigers. SMU's 11-0 this season when opponents shoot 40% or worse. So we'll see. The Tigers are not shooting the ball well. Can they find their offense tonight in Dallas? We will discuss that. James Gaddis Jewelers, first hour sponsor of Sports 56 Middays. Your bridal engagement and anniversary jeweler headquarters has been serving Memphians and Mid-Southerners for over 23 years. They're located at 4900 Poplar Avenue. It's between Mendenhall and St. Elmo. They have 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you. So if you need a new battery for your watch, you need an adjustment of your ring, you need to make the ring bigger, they can do that for you as well. Or you can just go in there and check out all the great diamonds they have, all the rings and watches and vintage jewelry. It's James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, between Mendenhall and St. Elmo. Give them a call. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Middays, 901-767-9648. Or check them out on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56. That's AM 560, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Let's up your life with Lads.
Spring is almost here, and this is the perfect time to visit Lads of Memphis for all your golf cart and lawn tractor needs. Visit their open house on Saturday, March 7th, and check out the new Spartan mowers and current promotions. Test drive a new Club Car Onward golf cart and spin the prize wheel for a chance to win up to $500 in Lads credit.
Lads, up your life with Lads. Lads, up your life. Into the unknown.
Are you headed into the unknown with the digital marketing for your business?
Into the unknown.
Maybe you can create the best digital content for your ad campaigns, but it's unknown whether you will find the time. Or maybe measuring the results and analytics is unknown for you. Digital Mid-South can help you with the unknowns of digital marketing. Website development, graphic design, social media marketing, search engine optimization, online video marketing, e-commerce, and more. Check out digitalmidsouth.com to learn how you can help with your online digital advertising campaigns, or call Brian White at 901-375-9324. That's Brian White, 901-375-9324. digitalmidsouth.com. Digital content creation, delivery, and management.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
The best place to go for all things guns and gear is what you hear me talking about all the time. Collierville Guns and Gear has the only one-stop sound suppressor silencer shop in one place on Highway 72 in Collierville. Fingerprints, photo, trust, and notary all in one place. Only place in Tennessee that you can do that. Protecting your kids' ears and your ears and getting less recoil is huge. If you've not been to Tactical Guns and Gear, I promise they have all the latest and best guns and rifles before other shops even have them ordered. And how great is it that you can ask Jim or Jake to add all the gear you want to any gun or rifle, and they'll do the custom package for you. Gun, scope, sight, sling, case, balancer, and ammo, all done. A perfectly balanced rifle is everything, and the right scope is good too. All eyes are different. You may want red or green or night vision. Make sure Jim or Jake knows. For all things guns and gear, head to Tactical Guns and Gear on Highway 72 in Collierville and tell them Eli says hi. Online at tacticalgunsandgear.net.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Talking some Grizzlies early in the show. We'll switch gears, talk some Tigers here in a few minutes. Plus, there's some NFL news to talk about. A little bit of college football as well. And Major League Baseball spring training. Interesting day yesterday for Jose Altuve of the Astros. But we do have some texts at 67129 on the Grizz.
Yeah, the one thing, before I get to those, the one thing that is, to me, is amazing about last night's game for the Clippers is their two superstars, Kawhi and Paul George. When they combined 1 for 9 from three-point range, the rest of the team went 15 for 28.
Yeah. You got to, because you have a lot of supplementary players that can hit the three. And that's why your reserves, I mean, depending on, if you're still trying to play big boy basketball and you got a big that's not a real good three-point shooter, that's fine. Although it's interesting with the Grizzlies now with Gorgie Jang, he can actually step back and hit a three. But the rest of that roster, it should be guys that could all shoot threes. I mean, they need to be multidimensional. They need to be able to do more. Right now, the only person on that roster who is known as the three-point shooter is on a 10-day contract, and that's Dusty Hannes, who, by the way, got some playing time last night.
Who Dusty Hannes, by the way, now has made 4 NBA field goals, has yet to make a 3.
What is he from 3?
Well, he has an attempted one this year. I think he was 0 for 3 last year, 0 for 4, something like that, when he got his chance. But he's made, I think it's 4 field goals, but 0 for from three-point range.
But I bet if he got some, and I'm not saying that he deserves playing time, but if he got into a groove and because there had to be a lot of nerves, especially last year, and probably some nerves last night. If he got into a nice little groove, he's got it. Look, it's the same height, the basket, the court's the same size. I know they're different players coming at him. But
the defenders are a little different.
Yes, but if it's an open 3, I'm talking about an open 3. I'm not saying Dusty's creating his own shot against some of those great NBA defenders.
Some text here on the Grizzlies, 67129, the First Bank text line. Somebody says, I'd rather miss the playoffs, hopefully have a chance at another really good pick in the draft. That's what I said yesterday. Like, you could make the case that that's the better way to do it. Take your shot in the lottery. You don't get it. You give the pick away, but you at least give yourself that opportunity to, quote unquote, win the lottery for a second straight year and move up there and get a top 4 pick.
Yeah, it's not one of those deals where it's a worst case scenario. That's not a bad scenario. If you end up getting lucky, you're going to have a top 3 pick. Now, I hope folks understand the scenario with the draft pick. If they're like 5, what is it, top 6 protected?
Yeah.
So that's the situation. So more than likely you're giving away that pick to the Celtics, and then you get them off your back. So it's over with that. If not, you get lucky and get a top 3, or you make the playoffs. All the scenarios are pretty good. This is not one of those woe is me Grizzly situation. It's just a little bit disappointing when the build-up right at the All-Star break was, man, this team's playing so well. They're in 8th place. They're in the playoffs right now if they were to start, and then you come out of the gate post-All-Star break, and you look like a completely different team.
Somebody else says if you get the 8th seed and get swept by the Lakers, what's the point? Well, the team would tell you the point is they're going to, in all likelihood, sell out the building twice for in that playoff series. So they will take 2 games of sellouts because it's the Lakers.
Well, if you're a Grizzlies fan, even if you know ahead of time that you're going to lose a series, the fact that you get to go to FedEx Forum, which you would absolutely believe is a sellout, a frenzied situation scenario where you're watching your Grizzlies, your young Grizzlies, take on the Lakers and LeBron James. That's why you want to get to the postseason. You want to have some meaningful games, and even though you lose, you lose. Only one team can win the NBA title. The goal is to make the postseason for every NBA team out there. So that's why.
It says the new Grizzlies have been fun to watch, but it's like the Tigers with a young team don't expect a great deal.
Okay,
well,
here we go.
The Tigers certainly had high expectations, but you cannot compare the young team from college to the NBA.
Yeah,
young teams, every team in college. There's a lot of good teams that are extremely young in college. The NBA is a different beast.
Yeah, so we have a situation that is oddly similar, yet not similar, like you just said. It's similar in the fact that, yes, the Grizzlies are very, very young. The Tigers are extremely young. Now, the Grizzlies are getting some injuries, and the Tigers have gotten some injuries. But the thing with the Tigers that really chaps my you-know-what is they were struggling even when they had DJ there towards the end of the year, into the beginning of the year, in the new year, and then he got hurt. And when you beat Houston, what do you say? Are you going to again say, well, we're young and we're hurt, but you beat Houston? So I don't get it. If you're going to use it as an excuse for all the close losses, you had a 10-point lead at Cincinnati, you had a lead at Connecticut, then what are you saying now when you beat Houston? All of a sudden now, are you not young and you're not inexperienced? DJ Jeffries was still hurt when they beat Houston, a nationally ranked team. So even though these excuses are legitimate, I don't get it. When you're in games at the end, it's just execution down the stretch. You're not able to make the winning plays. They were on Saturday. The Grizzlies now, people are going to start to say, well, Jaren Jackson Jr. is hurt. Yes, moving forward he is, but the slide has already started. The slide has started before Jaren Jackson Jr., whether it was trading away veteran players, which, again, you understand why they did that for the future of the team. But the slide has started. They got clobbered against the Lakers with Jaren Jackson Jr. They lost to the Sacramento Kings with Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, if Clark and Jackson Jr. are out for a lengthy period of time, I mean, you're absolute toast. You're absolute toast. But this is a team that's young. This is a team that's inexperienced. There's not too many guys that have been to the playoffs. Yet, all year long, they have battled and have been in most games. So, forget about the youth component. They're playing like a veteran team. And that's all that matters. But now it's just a matter of the opponents they're playing. Look at the schedule right now.
But that's the whole thing. Like, if the Grizzlies, if you just flip-flop their schedule and if they would have had this tough stretch early in the year and been down on the bottom and then had the easy games later and made this charge, everybody be thrilled. Like, oh my God, so at least they really fought. Just because they played the easy games early and the tough games late, the result of the season is the same.
Absolutely. Everybody saw this schedule and pointed to the fact that most of the games after the All-Star break are away. And look at the opponents that they are going to play. Beasts from the East, the best from the West. Then you combine that with a lot of things. Dylan Brooks can't make a shot. All of a sudden cannot make a shot. You lack a little bit of that leadership when you've traded away two veterans in Crowder and Hill. Now you have an injury to Jaren Jackson Jr. Clark gets hurt yesterday. Ja, I don't think, has hit a brick wall. I just think Ja has nothing around him. They have no three-point shooting, and now it's affected some of their defense as well. But I still think the main component is they're playing better teams. Plain and simple. They're playing better teams. It's not like they were number 3 of the 8 teams right now that would be in the playoffs, and all of a sudden they hit the skids here. They were number 8. They were hanging on with 5 teams charging from behind. They're still in there, but you have 25 games to go. That's why when people said they had a 4-game lead and 5 in the loss column with 28 games to go after the All-Star break, I said, that's plenty of time. Oh, no, that's not a lot of time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And especially if you go on a long losing streak, which unfortunately they've started.
The thing, too, with John talked about yesterday. I mean, if you watched last night, there were a couple of plays that really kind of showed it. Like teams now kind of know what he wants to do, especially when he gets in the lane. Because that's the thing. Like Ja was having no problem. He would get in the lane and score kind of whenever he wanted.
Right.
Which for his size, everything else, like obviously he's got great athleticism. He's extremely creative. But now you can see teams, like there was a play last night early in that game where he got into the lane and it was Zubats who was in there. Early in the year, like Ja did his little like hesitation move. Early in the year, that would have got guys falling all over themselves, and he ends up going around him and does a little scoop. Zubats, like he did his little hesitation move, and Zubats just stood there. Like, I'm not falling for any of this because teams now know what you're going to do. Like, those little fakes and things that were always working. Now, like, oh, no, don't fall for the fake. He's not going to shoot that shot there. Just be patient. And so teams are making adjustments on Ja. And the other thing, too, like, it's not like Ja's been awful in these games. Like, Ja's still putting up points. Like, he's not getting as many assists because, again, nobody can make a shot when he gives it to him. But it's not like Ja's going out there and going 2 for 15 from the field in these games.
No, but he hasn't been the same guy. He's turning the ball over a little bit more. He's a little bit unsure of himself with some of those moves. But I think you're right. But it's a combination. It's game planning, knowing what Ja is going to do, but they know that they're not going to be burnt when he kicks it out to the perimeter because nobody is making shots. And when nobody's making shots, they're just going to converge on the guys that can beat them. Ja Morant inside, any of the bigs inside. They say, to hell with it. Kick it all you want out there to the perimeter because we're not worried. Right now, Brooks can't make a shot. And Brooks right now is the key component to this team's offense. He has to make shots to keep the defense honest.
Well, certainly he does now because your guy at the 3 position can't shoot. And again, I still think they need to get Kyle Anderson out of the starting lineup. I just don't. Every time I watch that, it's like it gets worse and worse. Like just don't know what he's doing for you with that group because you're not putting the ball in his hands, which is his strength because Ja's doing that. So you need somebody in that position who is a threat to knock down a 3-pointer. At least let the team think like, okay, like him shooting might be a bad thing.
Well, I would think because, again, he's been around for a while, plus he rebounds the ball. He's tall, and I assume he plays pretty good defense. I haven't really concentrated on Kyle, but he wouldn't be in there, I don't think, if he doesn't play good defense. But point well taken. What does he bring offensively? And right now, that seems to be a major issue with this team. Bill is dialed in on the First Bank phone lines. Hi, Bill.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Yeah, one of these days, I'm actually going to catch you talking about the Pete Rose and shit. But not right now, obviously.
Please don't.
There's a difference between being the hunted and the hunter. Now, all of a sudden, everybody knows about Ja Morant. They know about the Grizzlies. And I'm sure some of these lower-level teams are like, the Grizzlies? Why are they talking about the Grizzlies so much? What about us? And so, all of a sudden, now it's like we're playing the Grizzlies tonight. It's like before, it was like, do we play tonight? I don't remember. Some team. What's their name again? I don't know. Some team from Vancouver. Oh, no, they're from Memphis. That's right. Yeah, they moved. That's right. No, now it's like, no, we're playing Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. They know that. Everybody knows it now. So it's a different intensity when you go into these games. These guys are ready for us. They're going to give it everything they've got. They're not going to just sleepwalk through it. And they expect to have a good game. And there's fans are coming to these games, too, to watch the Grizzlies now, unlike before. So, they've got to get that adjustment to being the hunted instead of a hunter. It's a different mentality, and they're young as well. Just think about it. Did you, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, did you not think about this will be your conversation about the switch around the Tigers and the Grizzlies be completely opposite
Absolutely.
of each other? So, I'm cool with it. We don't expect this team. We want them to get that age so they get the experience for the future. It would be awesome, in my opinion, and everybody else's opinion. So, right now, these 4 games, did y'all not predict that? Y'all made a prediction that somebody else said 1 and 3. The rest of y'all said 0 and 4. Just let them fight and struggle. These young guys got to learn. Adversity makes them stronger and tougher and better. So, I'm cool with it. Let them fight through this, to struggle through it. They're if they make the 8 or 9. They're learning a lot, and they're going to be more ready next year. And let's hope Winslow is a steal from the trade.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm excited for the future for this team. Excited for the future.
Well said. Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it, guys.
And to Bill's point, they Pete and Brevin the other night during the Lakers game talked about a lot that LeBron had come out and said he was approaching that game as if it was Game 7 of a playoff series.
Right.
Like he came out to send a message. Like the Lakers came out, knowing that possibly the Grizzlies were a first-round opponent. Like they wanted to send a message like, we're the Lakers. We're the favorites here. Y'all don't come into our building and have anything for us.
And Bill's point's well taken. Teams now know that this is a capable team. So if they're seeing them for a second or a third time, they understand that this is a team that's capable with Ja Morant leading the way, and they're a good opponent, so they're certainly going to be on their P's and Q's, no question. But I also agree with what he said about the future, and that's why I think we're all in agreement that it would be really cool to be in the postseason, but it's not the worst scenario if they don't make it because they're already ahead of schedule. It's a young team learning their way. Now they got new guys they're integrating, and they'll be integrating another guy when Justice Winslow is ready to go. So we'll see how it goes. It's just, all I did was look at the schedule and go, wow, that is just very formidable. I don't see how they hang on. And remember, they got some teams behind them that have some pretty good talent that are in the chase. And Portland's had to deal with Dame Lillard's injury, but they're right there. You never count out the Spurs. The Pelicans now with a healthy Zion Williamson. Everybody talked about New Orleans as a playoff team before the season started, thinking they would have Zion for the whole year combined with what they already have. So there's a lot of basketball still to be played. I just want to see this team get back to being the competitive team, win or lose, that we're used to seeing. This isn't all on because Jaren Jackson Jr. has missed one game now since the injury. This was a team that was starting to go down, not only since the All-Star break, but really since that trade. Dylan Brooks has to find
going into
a way.
The All-Star break, they beat Portland in a huge game. They beat Portland. You can't judge them on the Lakers and Clippers. It's two of the best teams in the NBA.
Right. I mean, well, they had a chance.
One game, Sacramento. You're judging it on one game, saying they're a slide started because they lost a game on the road to Sacramento.
Eli, you turn the TV off after the first quarter. They're not competitive right now.
That's the two best teams in the
NBA.
NBA.
They beat
possibly.
the Clippers. They beat them already
without
this
Paul
year.
George.
They still beat them.
So you just thought they were going to possibly win last night?
So let's see what happens the rest of the way. I'm telling you right now, this is a slide. I don't know how competitive they're going to be against most of the teams remaining.
Yes, it's going to be a slide without Jaren Jackson Jr. There's no doubt, and playing better teams. But to say the slide started with Jaren, that's one game you're basing that on, the Sacramento game.
I'm saying it didn't start with Jaren Jackson Jr. People are going to say, like you just said, now, here we go. It's the DJ Jefferson
You just
thing
said
all
that
over
the
again.
slide started before Jaren got hurt. That's one game, Sacramento.
Yes, but they lost. They beat Portland. I was at that game, but they lost a couple of those games before Portland. And Brooks, after the February 5th, I think, contract was signed, he has not been the same. So and then the trade happened as well. I mean, these all factor into why they're not as competitive now. I mean, I know you didn't like Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill, but you lose a couple of veteran players, especially Crowder, who can knock down a three. You lose something off of that. You lose something with Dylan Brooks. You lose a lot without Dylan Brooks being that player he was earlier in the year. You lose with Jaren Jackson Jr., obviously now on the shelf. It's a combination.
Going into the All-Star break, they had won 8 out of 10.
Did they lose a couple games right before Portland? I'm just trying to do this off
They lost at Philadelphia,
right?
But they had won 4 out of 5 after they beat Portland.
Okay.
They lost at New Orleans and at Philadelphia. It's only 2 losses in their 10 games prior to the All-Star break.
And where were those games? What were the dates of those games?
The Pelicans game was January 31st. The 76ers game was February 7th.
Okay. Well, one of the games was after the Brooks contract. I'm just trying to tell you how important, I think you know this, how important Dylan Brooks is to that offense.
I'm trying but don't judge it on the Lakers and Clippers game.
No, I'm not. I predicted 0-4 on this road trip.
But you keep saying the slide started before Jaren got hurt. It didn't. That's based on one game, a loss at Sacramento.
To me, the slide starts when Dylan Brooks can't find the hole anymore. That's where the slide, in my opinion, they lost one of those games.
Okay, but at Philadelphia, everybody loses at Philadelphia.
No, they lost that New Orleans game too. They lost.
That was before the trade deadline.
Okay, all right. It's a combination of things. There's no question about it. But I'm saying the Jaren Jackson Jr. injury just happened.
They played 5 games, basically, post-trade because they pulled the guys out of the lineup for that Dallas game, and they won 4 out of the 5.
Do you think they played well at Sacramento?
No.
Okay,
but I don't think that was the sign of a slide starting. It was a loss.
I'm looking at a combination of things, and I don't see this looking bright for the rest of the way. Again, bottom line, no
Neither
big
do I,
deal.
because Jaren Jackson's hurt, and they're going to play really good competition.
Yeah, but you don't have anybody who's making any shots, man. I mean, if Dylan Brooks is knocking down 6 of 9 from 3 and scoring 27 points, it opens up things for Ja.
I think the part of what you said, Greg, about the trade starting a skid, no, I think it's just the competition. I don't think if they had Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill, they could go into...
They would have lost both these
they would have lost probably all these games anyway.
There's no question. And don't get me wrong. I am pro-trade. I'm just saying that it's a combination of a lot of things. You lose veteran leadership. Brooks has been terrible. They have no outside threat. Jackson gets hurt. Morant, whether you want to say it's a wall, I'm not going to say that. I think it's because he doesn't have a lot of support. But there's some people that say he's hit a wall. All these combinations of things, I think, has led to this team starting to go down. Competition number 1 on that list. But let's see when Sacramento – they should beat the Kings at home on Friday, right?
Without Jaren, I wouldn't say that.
No? Okay.
Without Jaren, I wouldn't say they should beat anybody.
Well, the Tigers, according to everybody in the city, the Tigers without DJ Jeffries should not have beaten Houston, but they beat them. They beat them.
So? I didn't say they can't beat them. I'm just saying I wouldn't say necessarily they should beat them.
Well, we'll see if they're a favorite in that game. But
I mean, the Jaren Jackson Jr. is a very important part of this team.
I understand that. But again, this is a team that I think was struggling. Whether it be the opponent or whatever, it was a combination of things. I predicted months ago that they wouldn't make the playoffs, right? And this before I knew about an injury, a Brooks contract extension, and subsequent slump. This was before the trade. I just looked at that damn schedule. And I'm not talking about just the Lakers and the Clippers. They got to go to Portland twice. They beat Portland. They ain't going to beat them up there.
If they don't have Jaren Jackson Jr., they definitely won't.
Okay, the Jaren Jackson Jr. will eventually be back.
Will he?
I would think so. It's not a tear.
We shall see.
It depends on how much they want to keep him on the shelf because he's such a valuable asset. And what's the importance to them of a postseason spot or not? Maybe it's not that important. But to the bottom line for this organization, making the postseason is because of those playoff games, those sellouts, the possibility of, these huge crowds and moneymakers. That's what they are. Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration for all your roofing and home repair needs. Call Brandon McCullough at 901-438-5084 or go online to newroofmemphis.com. They offer financing with many different plans and options, including a 6, 12, or 18-month same-as-cash option. They'll work with your insurance company or out of pocket. Pinnacle is licensed, bonded, and insured, and a member of the Better Business Bureau. They do residential and commercial roofing. So business owners and property managers, if you have a leak or any other roofing issue, call Brandon today. We've had a lot of rain over the last, month or so, and probably a lot more coming in the spring. Pinnacle will go out and do a free roof inspection. All you need to do is call and contact Pinnacle and Brandon McCullough. They'll come out. They'll check out the roof. Don't forget a $100 referral fee for all new roofs. So you tell somebody about Pinnacle, they end up using Pinnacle, your reference, your referral, $100 for doing so. They do all types of work around the home, carpentry work, exterior painting. They can replace gutters, put up fencing and siding, rotten wood repair, install shingles. Work that you can't handle. If you can, great. If not, you call the experts at Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. Again, that 5-year labor warranty is on all roofs and work. Anything they do around your home is satisfaction guaranteed. It's Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration for all your roofing and home repair needs. Call Brandon today. Tell him I sent you, 901-438-5084, or online at newroofmemphis.com. We'll take a time out. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Hi, right, folks, the Chevy Sheriff with good news for car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has over 400 new Chevy cars and trucks in stock, ready for immediate delivery. Factory rebates up to $6,500 and Sunrise discounts high as $10,000. Immediate financing available with interest rates low as 0%. A $6 million used car inventory with cars and trucks for every budget, and a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $99.95. If you've been turned down at another dealer, see us at sunrisememphis.com. We specialize in financing, and Sunrise is home with a guaranteed credit approval. Find new roads to the Sunrise Chevy Ranch in Collierville.
I was just looking at Central Barbecue's website, eatcbq.com, and in their catering section, it says that there is no maximum amount of people that they can serve at an event.
So?
Somebody should test this.
Test what?
They say they can literally cater any amount of people.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. Central Barbecue's catering is a machine. I've used them dozens of times.
But have you ever tried to use them for a really big event?
Yes.
No, I mean a really big event.
Like what?
I'm thinking some fat cat rich guy should feed an entire Grizzlies game Central Barbecue.
Fat cat? Did you just come here from the 1920s?
I'm just saying somebody should really put Central Barbecue to the test.
You do realize you work for Central Barbecue.
It's not too early to start planning for spring at Family Leisure. New pools are starting at $19.99, spas starting at $21.99, and swim spas now only $99.99. 5-piece patio furniture starts at only $799. Pool chemicals, toys, accessories, and more up to 20% off. Mention this ad, you'll get free delivery and 1 month of chemicals with your spa purchase. Start your spring planning now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
Did you learn your ABCs when you were a kid? Well, as a grown-up, it's time to learn your CBDs, as in CBD edibles, oil tincture, pain cream, and beauty products, all found at your CBD store. With 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, North Germantown Parkway, and Goodman Road East. You'll find all natural, organic, and non-GMO products. Need to learn more? Your CBD store has a knowledgeable and friendly staff that can answer questions, help with choices, and put you at ease about your CBDs. Your CBD store with 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, Cordova, and South Haven. Your CBD store, making it as easy for you as ABC CBD.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Got another text here. Says, Grizz getting in the playoffs is like playing with house money. It'd be amazing if we did. But my biggest concern is Brooks, and if we have a team with a season of gelling together that's ready to make a push next year, that comes from Nico.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the way you have to view the playoffs. Get in, great. If not, hey, got a chance to win the lottery again. Somebody else says Brooks. They got confidence in Dylan Brooks. Brooks will get a shot back tomorrow. We need a heavy dose of Jonas to beat the Rockets. Well, that goes back to the thing we talked about. Can you play Jonas against the Rockets? Or is the matchup going to,
who's going to dictate?
You could use his size on offense,
right,
but he can't keep up with their guys on defense. So who wins that battle? I'm going to guess that Jonas probably doesn't play a whole lot against the Rockets.
I think that will probably end up being the case.
If Brandon Clark misses the game, then you're pretty much
necessity. You're
like
forced.
Now you're screwed at the big position altogether. So you're going to have to put him out there.
I don't disagree with the text about Dylan Brooks. I love Dylan Brooks. I liked him. Really liked him a lot at Oregon. I thought it was a steal in the second round. He's turned that into a nice big contract, but he has got to find his way or this team's in trouble. And I absolutely agree that this is house money. Nobody's going to be distraught if they don't make the playoffs. I think some people will be a little bit disappointed because they would love to see a challenge against really a superior team in the Lakers, but you never know in the postseason. It's fun, plus a sellout crowd for the playoffs. It's been a while now.
It's a chance to see LeBron twice here.
Absolutely.
I mean, the guy, we don't know how many more chances we're going to get to see LeBron in person. And if you get a couple of chances up close in the playoffs, I'm all for taking the opportunity to see LeBron.
Absolutely. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll talk Tigers and SMU. Steve Macy will join us at 11:25. We'll have our Humdingers trivia. We got 2.5 questions. Don Wade will join us at noon. Tony Pauline on the NFL draft at 12:25. A couple of other things here before we wrap up hour number 1. Alabama yesterday lost its football strength and conditioning coach to Georgia and Kirby Smart. And people are losing their minds over it. What's his name? I forget his name. He was with Nick for a long time.
I think it is.
Cochran, that's right. And terrific at what he does. But I would imagine that either his assistant or somebody from outside the system will be brought in and will do a great job because it's Alabama and they're going to get somebody really good. Now, I think even Kirk Herbstreit tweeted out that, is this and I don't want to be putting words in his mouth, but paraphrasing something like, is this the start of the dominoes at Alabama? No, I don't know why the guy left. I mean, with the great relationship with Nick. But
because he got a great relationship with Kirby, and they made him an on-field assistant coach rather than a strength coach. He's a big raise in money, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So I don't think it's the changing of the guard by any stretch of the imagination. I think Alabama is still Alabama and will be with Nick Saban. Also, something we didn't get to yesterday, Colorado very quietly hired Carl Durrell as their new head coach.
If I was hiring Carl Durrell, I would keep it quiet too.
I was going to ask you about that. Carl Durrell was not bad at UCLA. He coached there, but he's been in the NFL a long time and was recently with the Dolphins. He gets a 5-year deal. Really? 5-year deal.
Well, he had all the leverage there. They're just trying to hire. Like, they have to hire somebody.
Yeah, but again, is Carl Durrell that huge a hire where you got, all right, well, whatever you say, Carl, we'll do 5. But
Carl Durrell had one good year at UCLA.
What was his overall record? It was over 500, was it not?
35-27.
Yeah,
30. He was 6-7 or 7-6. Except for 1 year, he went 10-2.
Okay, but 35-27 is 8 games over 500. I'm not saying the guy goes to the Hall of Fame, but this wasn't Larry Porter, for goodness sakes. So I don't know why Durrell wanted to get back into the college game. I guess he never had an opportunity to return to head coaching, and now he does. So it'll be interesting how that turns out. Also, there is a lot of, I don't know if it's rumor, definitely a rumor, but a little bit of heat maybe behind this Tom Brady to the Tennessee Titans thing. And I still think firmly, and I'll predict still, that he'll end up in New England, but we haven't heard anything about any overtures from the Patriots. But according to John Robinson, the Titans GM, first of all talking about Ryan Tannehill, who emerged as the starter after replacing Marcus Mariota last year, he said he's still under contract for a couple of weeks. We'll see how it goes. He's under contract. He did a great job for us. We'll start those talks and kind of see where they go, just like all the players. In the meantime, it's kind of that rumorville right now with Brady and possible destinations, including the Tennessee Titans. I don't see it. It's going to be strange to see Tom Brady if he's not in a Patriots uniform. But it happens all the time. It's happened for years and years, and even when I was a kid. Weird things like Joe Namath in a Rams uniform or Johnny Unitas with the damn Chargers, for goodness sakes. So it's certainly not out of the stretch of impossibility. Certainly not a stretch, I should say. The realm of possibility to see him in another uniform. I just don't think it will happen. And then also, from baseball, Jose Altuve, first appearance for the Astros in spring training, of course, was booed relentlessly and then was hit by a pitch. But Dusty Baker, the new skipper for the Astros, said, settle down. That was not a purpose pitch. It grazed him. It was just one of those inside pitches that caught him. But we'll see what happens moving down the road with Altuve and the rest of the Astros, or as I like to call them, the Hitler Youth. Hour 2 coming up. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
These seats are amazing. Shoot it!
We deliver tickets, team merchandise, and everything you need to get ready for the game. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
There's a new commissary in town. In Collierville, Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There is plenty of parking, no telephone pole to get in your way, a cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
The Can-Am Spring Fever event is here and ready to take you on the ultimate off-road ride and get you some serious savings. Can-Am is built for ripping through trails, crawling through mud, cruising over dunes, getting the job done. Get it done for less. Farmers and ranchers can save up to $1,500 on select 2020 Defender models, or even on select 2019 models, save up to $2,500 during the Spring Fever event. Get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. Visit us today, Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by Gold Strike Casino and Resort in Tunica. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Welcome back, everybody. 11:02 is the time. Hour 2, Sports 56 Middays on this Tuesday, February 25th, 2020. Still cloudy out there, but very limited chance for precip today. You got baseball, I got baseball. Ole Miss at 4 at Swayze. The Tigers play at 4 o'clock against Central Arkansas at FedEx Park. Hopefully the forecasters are correct, because would not like to see the rain after all the rain we had yesterday. We are in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Sports 56 Middays is delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. No matter what stage you're at in your business, there's room to grow online. Learn more at FedEx.com/e-commerce. Again, a big shout out to all the great folks at FedEx. Thank you so much for being a part of our show each and every day. And the second hour of the program is brought to you by the Gold Strike Casino Resort and the Moneyline Book Bar and Grill, the South's premier sports entertainment venue. That's the place to be for March Madness, which is rapidly approaching.
Is today Mardi Gras? Today actual Fat Tuesday? Today is? Oh,
yes,
cool.
Yes.
Well, happy Mardi Gras to everybody out there. Time now for our Humdingers Trivia for the week. Your opportunity to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdingers, and you could celebrate Mardi Gras by going and enjoying Taco Tuesday over at Humdingers today, as they do each and every Tuesday. $2 fish and chicken tacos over at Humdingers. Those delicious tacos, of course. All kinds of other great items on the menu as well, from the grilled fish options to the crispy fish and chips, the chicken options, the salads, the sandwiches, all kinds of great stuff. You can check out the entire menu by going to humdingersrestaurant.com. They're over at Poplar and Massey. Delicious, inexpensive, and healthy items all over the menu at Humdinger's. And again, humdingersrestaurant.com. And if you've got any catering needs, they could take care of those for you as well. Just give them a call or talk to them over at Humdinger's. Here is today's question. You can answer via text at 67129. That's 67129. If you've never signed up to our text team, you do need to text 56JOIN to 67129 first. You'll get a little automated response that lets you know you're signed up. Then you can text us or any of the shows anytime. But answer via text. First one to get it right gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. Here is the question. Who was the leading scorer for your Memphis Tigers the last time they won an NCAA tournament game? Who was the leading scorer in the game the last time the Tigers won an NCAA tournament game?
Okay, so a leading scorer in that particular game.
Yes.
Okay.
67129. 67129. The last time the Tigers won an NCAA tournament game, who led them in scoring in the game? Text in 67129 first to get it right. $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's.
We'll get to Tigers basketball in just a second, but yesterday we were talking on the show about the measurements at the Combine. Tony Pauline will join us at 12:25 to talk NFL Combine. But Joe Burrow had the small hands of 9 inches. And so
Tiny hands.
Tiny hands.
They call him Tiny Hands Burrow. It's a new nickname, Joe Tiny Hands Burrow.
So Burrow on Twitter, he goes at Joe_Burrow10, but he calls himself Joey Burrow. This was a great one yesterday. Great tweet. Had to make sure it was really him. It was having some fun with the measurements. Considering retirement, after I was informed the football will be slipping out of my tiny hands, please keep me in your thoughts. You know what's funny, though? Today, it was announced that Joe Burrow will not throw at the NFL Combine this week. I think he's following through. I think he's going to retire.
So they're doing more measurements today. Running backs were among the measurements today. And Patrick Taylor of the Tigers measured 6'1" 4/8", or 6'1" 1/2", for those of you that can actually reduce fractions, unlike the NFL. 217 pounds, 9 3/8 inch hands, whatever that means. Longest
good size.
Longest arms among running backs. 32 1/4 inch arms.
Ooh.
The longest of any running back.
That's good stuff right there. It's longer than my arms.
Is it really? What were yours? What are
I
yours?
was 31 7/8. 7/8.
30,
has to be 7/8.
31 and
now
7/8.
big arms
so
for a lineman, long arms for a lineman. That's very
you're
important.
3/8 shorter.
Yeah, there's some guys with like 35-inch arms. I don't know how that's.
What I love though, so looking at all the measurements, and among the positions being measured today are punters. and so they're posting these measurements of punters, and they're including hand size. What in the world do I care what the hand size of? Do
Catch
they
him
have
a snap
to catch the ball when it's snapped back to him?
Why don't they measure his foot size? He's using his foot to kick the ball.
He wears a size 10 shoe. We can't draft it. We can't get him now.
It's just I guess they got to do it to not make him feel bad. We measure everybody else's hands. We got to measure the punter's hands too, or they'll get all offended saying why don't we get our hands measured?
Also, they run 40s, so
that's true.
Does that really matter?
Because we know the punter. But the highlight of the day today from the early morning interview sessions at the Combine were Jerry Jeudy, the Alabama wide receiver, who was wears a Star of David necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was asked about it, and he explained why he wears the Star of David necklace.
Oh, so my last name Judy. People sometimes call me short for Jew, like one Jew. So I just got a Jewish star. So yeah, I'm not Jewish though.
I'm glad he threw that in at the end.
I'm not Jewish though.
I'm not Jewish though. Don't. I mean, I'm not. I just wear it because they call me Jew.
Hey man, it's what? Whatever floats your boat.
Of course,
man.
all the memes come out after that.
Oh yeah, that's just a very simple explanation.
Speaking of the memes,
people call me Jew, so I got a Jewish star.
Has the new Jordan crying meme come out yet?
I think we should steer clear of that one.
Oh, it's
well, he talked about it, so it just takes away the fun of it.
Oh, okay,
right?
I got you.
And once you acknowledge it like as your thing, like then it's like, well, that's no fun anymore. We thought it was cool because
but the first time it was for a good reason. This one was not so good.
Right, I hear you. All right, Tigers tonight at SMU, coming off the win over Houston on Saturday. Precious Achiuwa, by the way, the American Conference Freshman of the Week. They might as well name that after him. I mean, he seems to win it every single week. He'll be the Freshman of the Year in the conference. He'll be a first-team all-conference player and certainly will be in the conversation for Player of the Year. But the Tigers have a golden opportunity. 4 games left in the regular season, and they're playing 3 of those 4 opponents are teams that they're battling to get one of the top 4 spots so they would get a bye in the conference tournament. Top 4 get byes. Tigers right now are tied for 4th. One of the teams they're tied with is SMU. So it's important. Cincinnati and Houston and Tulsa, and not in that order. It's Houston, Tulsa, Cincinnati, but they're the top 3 right now. And there's a 3-way tie for 4th. So the Tigers have SMU. They have Tulane on Saturday. And then next week, a week from Thursday, Wichita State, final home game of the regular season. Who knows what will happen if they don't make the NCAA tournament, maybe an NIT home game. And then a week from Sunday, they will play Houston at Houston. So 3 of the 4 remaining opponents in the regular season are all teams they're battling. We talked about it yesterday. It's just a big old guess because you have to factor in every other team, and nobody knows. They don't have a crystal ball and can't predict. But for the Tigers to have any opportunity to get an at-large, you're going to have to win, if not all 4, 3 of the 4. I still think it's important to not lose the home game, which is critical, or to the lesser teams on the road, Tulane and SMU compared to Houston. There are some people that think, like, you win 3, and if you lose to Houston, then you're in the conversation. So it's just a different point of view. I think if you're going to lose one, losing to the team that's in the rankings would hurt you less, and it's a road game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious thing.
Right. No, I've heard some people on.
Did that say what?
I've heard people say that they got to win 3 of 4, but one of the wins has to be Houston. And I say no. The loss should be Houston if you can't win all 4, because that one hurts you a lot less. Right?
It's a quad 1 win. I mean, you could maybe make a case that you lose at SMU, winning at Houston could possibly be better because you pick up a quad 1 win, and the road loss to SMU is not a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the win against SMU is not going to do much for you, and the loss at Houston isn't a killer. So I guess you could make that case of how you want to look, because they just don't have many quad 1 wins. The problem would be if you won at Houston, while that one would be a quad 1 win, you may make your home win against them not a quad 1 win, because you might knock them out of the top 30 of the net rankings.
Right.
So you might lose a quad 1 win while picking up a quad 1 win. But I'm not sure that there's a huge difference either way.
But I think we would agree that losing the home game to Wichita State would be a killer, and losing at Tulane, which is not a good team, is a killer.
Quad, that's like Tulane's a quad,
right?
Like 4 loss or quad 3 loss. Yeah, you certainly can't be doing that, and you can't. I don't think you could afford a home loss at all.
No, and I have them going. You had asked me last week for the final 5, and I had them going 3-2 with the win over Houston at home, which happened. So now they have to win tonight. They have to win Saturday in my predictions. Now they can still have another combination of 3-2, but I think they win those games, and I just don't like Wichita State, even though it's a home game. I still think it's a possibility. Wichita State has not been the team I thought they could be this year. They're good, they're capable, and then you have to go to Houston, and I think that's a long shot, even though you just beat them. But it's a long shot to beat them there, especially if they have Grimes back. But we'll see.
Tonight's game is interesting because these two teams, if you look at the numbers, just especially offensive and defensive efficiency, they are polar opposites. Memphis is 188th in offense and 13th in defense. SMU is 15th in offense, 239th in defense. So when SMU has the ball, you have the irresistible force versus the immovable object. When Memphis has the ball, you got the very resistible force versus the very movable object.
Well, here's the thing. Normally, I would say, give me the team that has the stellar defense. But when the Tigers are struggling the way they are shooting the ball, that even though SMU's defense is porous, are you still going to be able to score enough and keep up with SMU? Because SMU, even though they're going up against a formidable defense, will get their share of points. So I don't know if I wouldn't rather have a team that scores in this day and age with a 3-point shot.
The one of the things that LSU is really bad at defensively, among national rankings, they give up a very high percentage from 3-point range.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if that will matter against the Tigers.
Right.
We shall see, but they're 285th in defending the three. Teams also shoot free throws very well against them for some reason. I always love looking at free throw percentage against numbers because it's very strange. For some reason, some teams shoot very good against them, and other teams they shoot very poorly against them, even though they're playing similar teams throughout the year, like within the conference and things like that.
Well, here's the number you really have to pay attention to. SMU 11-0 this season when opponents shoot 40% or worse. Or worse.
Well, yeah, because they're terrible defensively. So if they are actually playing, they're very good offensively. So if they do get a good defensive night, they're probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
They're 16th in the nation in 2-point percentage. Of course, the Tigers are. Let's see, are they still number 1 in? Let me see what they are now. I think they're number 2. I think they're number 2 still. Yeah, they're number 2 in 2-point percentage allowed. So you look at like that number. The one thing is SMU does not force a whole bunch of turnovers. So that's a good sign for the Tigers, maybe.
We're reaching. But I still think they have a great chance to win the game. I'm not at all impressed with SMU. I haven't been. I thought the Tigers should have won that first go-around. SMU just got clocked by Tulsa, but then again, the Tigers got clocked by Tulsa.
SMU actually does not only do they not force a lot of turnovers, they, like the Tigers, turn it over a ton themselves.
Yeah, it could be another one of those ragged games, but they're good at home. It will certainly be a challenge for the Tigers. How about this crazy basketball season in this area? You have the Grizzlies and the Tigers going into their respective seasons. High anticipation for what the Tigers can do. Low anticipation for the Grizzlies. Then it reverses itself during the course of the actual seasons where the Grizzlies are like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the Tigers are having all kinds of difficulties, losing Wiseman, injuries, and things of that nature. Now, in the last final push to the postseason, the Grizzlies are struggling. They have some injuries adding up. And the Tigers knock off a nationally ranked team on Saturday and now are trying for this like last-second comeback and a push to be in a position to maybe be in the conversation for an at-large. And then also, if you're winning the bulk of your final 5 games, you'll pick up that momentum also, which hopefully will lead into a good performance in the conference tournament. So you may have a complete turnaround once again. That would be something that people expected before the season. The Tigers go to the NCAA tournament. But as the season progressed, people had lost hope. And now they could turn around and make it very interesting if they can get hot here late in the season. Now, the odds would say, no, they won't be able to do it. The stats will tell you they won't be able to do it. The injuries and things of that nature will tell you they won't be able to do it. But I think they've had a chance to win a lot of games with execution down the stretch. And they found a way on Saturday with execution. I would imagine that these games will be close as well. There's that one anomaly game against Tulsa when they lost by 40. Most of the other games they've played in have been down to the wire, a play here, a play there that could have turned into victories that ended up losses.
We do have a correct answer in our trivia question. Only one person got it right, though. A lot of wrong guesses.
So Gabe won't be picking a number from you.
Yeah, don't. Gabe does not have to pick a number. He doesn't have to ruin somebody's dreams today. The question for today for Humdinger's Trivia was, who was the leading scorer in the game the last time the Tigers won an NCAA tournament game. Do you have a guess?
I know this one.
You do?
Because I remember the game.
When
was George Washington?
Wow, very nice.
I remember that.
What
this
year?
guy was off the bench. I can say that much.
Very nicely
Wow,
done.
Gabe.
And the only reason I know is because I had seen this guy previously. He was a transfer guy.
Oh,
and I remember him doing really well in their one win that year.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause. That's very well. That's great information.
Now, he hasn't said the name yet, but
if you looked that up and then threw that up,
don't say the name yet.
No, I promise you I didn't.
Don't say the name yet. So what year again is this? When's their last NCAA tournament game or win?
This was in 2014.
This was their last NCAA tournament game, or
they won the game?
They won the game.
Get to play another one. That's how the tournament.
Who'd they lose? Shut up, man. Who'd they lose to after that?
They lost to Virginia after that.
Yeah, I mean, I was on all these games, but they start to blend in after you've covered them for 25 years. The GW game transfer 2014 off the bench. Big or guard? Big guy or guard?
Guard.
How about
there were a lot of people, by the way.
There's a very I have given away basically every hint I could possibly give.
You've
transfer, off the bench, guard.
I don't even know what year. I mean, I'm getting the years mixed up.
GW.
This wasn't Antonio Barton. Was he a transfer?
Antonio Barton transferred from Memphis
to Tennessee, but I didn't know if he had come here as a transfer.
There were a lot of people that did guess Joe
obviously.
Jackson, by the way. Joe Jackson was the second leading scorer in that game that day.
That was the obvious pick.
There was some Shaq Goodwin guesses. He had 8 points that day. Joe Jackson had 15. The leading scorer that Gabe is referring to had 19. So people came with Will Barton, Tyreek Evans, Derrick Rose, that your CDR. You get a little. They've won games since 2008, guys. Like, come on, man, give them some credit. Josh Pastor did win a tournament game or two.
Well, I know the answer now because our buddy, who shall remain nameless, just texted it, so I saw it, and I don't want to cheat. But Jaron Johnson.
That is incorrect.
Oh, Harvey. Front row.
Wow.
Jay, you're killing me.
Wow. I love it. They're feeding you faulty information.
Bad information. You lose. Sorry. No.
You get nothing.
Wah, wah, wah.
You lose, sir. We need that one. We need that sound effect. Wonka. Thanks. Maybe Jay was just taking a guess. He wasn't giving me the answer, but he's laughing now. He's laughing. So it wasn't Johnson, who was a transfer from Dayton, wasn't he not? Was he not? Was it Dayton?
I don't know if Greg's going to get this one.
Go ahead. Give me it.
Michael Dixon.
Michael Dixon Jr.
From Missouri.
Yeah, that's how I knew.
Yeah, Missouri, your connections. Yeah.
Wow. We ended up having somebody else that got it right later. But yes, congratulations to our winner. Somebody said, I thought St. Mary's was their last tourney win. No, George Washington was the last tournament win the year after they beat St. Mary's. They beat George Washington, then lost to Virginia. In the St. Mary's game, Joe Jackson was the leading scorer. But in the George Washington game, Michael Dixon Jr. was the leading scorer in that one. So congratulations to our winner. You will be notified and how you could pick up your prize.
Michael Dixon Jr., part of the Four Kings. Do you remember the Four Kings? Can you name all four Kings? I'm going to have to double check on this one. But I know Michael Dixon Jr. is part of it. I know somebody will text in at 67129.
That was Jared Johnson,
right?
Chris Crawford, Joe Jackson, and him.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Very good. All right. When we come back, Steve Macy will join us from the University of Memphis. He has no idea who the Four Kings are. He wasn't here at that time. I want to tell you about our second hour sponsor, and that is the Moneyline Book Bar and Grill at Gold Strike Casino Resort in Tunica, Mississippi. It's the South's premier sports entertainment venue. It's located inside the Gold Strike Casino Resort. Outstanding. If you have not been down there, you need to. If you want to bet on a few games, enjoy some great food, some great drinks. You can also have some fun in the Topgolf Swing Simulator. They got a suite right there inside the Moneyline Book Bar and Grill. March Madness on the way. It's a great place to watch all the action. That's when it got underway last March. March Madness basically was the start of the sports gambling in Tunica and the opening of the Gold Strike Casino. Well, I'm not sure if it was the start of the gambling, but it was the the opening there of the book at Gold Strike, and it has been doing tremendously. So if you want a great place to enjoy all those games or any sporting event during the year, it's the Moneyline Book Bar and Grill at the Gold Strike Casino Resort. Macy is next. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 FM.
If you've always thought, hey, I'd look pretty good in Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus thinks so, too. Lexus is offering you the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. Hey, you look pretty good there. Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing.
Put the Case IH legacy of power and efficiency to work in your hay fields and feedlot. Mid-South Ag Equipment has tough Case IH farm-all tractors that can handle a variety of chores fast. With their expert blend of engine and hydraulic power, farm-all tractors can easily tackle loading and material handling chores as well as mowing and baling. Models range from 65 to 90 horsepower, so you're sure to find one that's perfectly powered for the jobs you do. Stop in or call 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag Equipment, your Case IH headquarters.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by Gold Strike Casino and Resort in Tunica. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
All my exes live in Texas.
Before too long, spring football will be underway for all teams around the country. The Tigers will kick off things in mid-March. I'm looking at a tweet that Kevin Johns, their offensive coordinator, sent out, and I assume this is the open to the public practices. Tiger practice on March 21st at 10 a.m. at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. Scrimmage in the Music City of Nashville on April 4th at 1:30. That'll be at Father Ryan High School. And then mark it down, Friday Night Stripes, April 17th at 7 o'clock at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. Our good friend Steve Macy is the Senior Associate AD at the University of Memphis. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve Macy. He joins us every Tuesday here on the program. Hey, Steve.
I can always tell when Eli is in charge of the music around here.
We haven't used that one for you in a while.
No, it has been a while. I was missing it very much, so thank you for bringing it back.
Have you connected with any of those exes in Texas?
You know, they still aren't interested in talking. It's shocking to me, but it continues to be consistent.
Speaking of spring football and Friday Night Stripes, are you guys? Is there anything in the works special for that that you could tell us anything about?
You know, I think this being Coach Silverfield's first spring game, I think he's looking to kind of put his own stamp on this at this point. Still working through some of the details of exactly how he wants it to look and to be run and to manage. And I think that the good thing about some of his staff is that they're coming from different places around the country. And Sam has director of football operations, is coming to us from Southern California and a couple other places in his career. And so he's got some fresh ideas and concepts. And while we may not be able to pull off all the things they'd like to try to do in this in 2 months, but I think in the future, the idea is that this could be a much bigger event that is more reflective of where the program is. And I think that's what we've talked about a couple times, is that the Tiger football program is a top 25 program, and I think that's kind of been cemented here, is that this is a big-time program that is reflective of how much effort and time has been put into it. And kind of those next steps are getting the level of support up to that top 25 level as well. And that's, people that come to the games and come to the spring game and our donors and all of those different moving parts. That's that next step in the evolution of this program to being one of the elite programs in the country.
The 2020 football schedule was just recently released. What are your thoughts on it?
I like a lot of it. I'm really disappointed that as the defending champ that we're kind of saddled with this short turnaround road game at a tough SMU program after coming off the road. But at the same time, having spent a bunch of my time in a conference office, and you're trying to put together a schedule, and there's limitations on stadiums and everybody else's non-conference schedule, that it's never a perfect process. And we all look at our schedules as an individual schedule and don't recognize sometimes all the different moving parts. But I think that's a pretty tough one. We've got to go play at UT San Antonio on a Saturday, turn around, and 3 days later get on an airplane to go play against SMU. That's a pretty tough task. But the rest of the schedule I like. I mean, as someone that's got marketing as part of the responsibilities, I kind of love the UCF game where it's sitting coming off that SMU game, but then a 10-game or 10-day window to get people excited about that, I think is a really good opportunity. And not having a home game on the Friday or Saturday after Thanksgiving's got me very excited.
Well, I was going to ask you about it because you guys have been that Friday after Thanksgiving game. I don't know if it's been the last 3 years or whatever, but was that something?
It'd be six straight.
This would have been 6 straight? Holy cow, I didn't realize it was that many.
This would have been 7, actually.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't realize it was that many. But was that something that is that just completely up to the league office, or you told them maybe that you didn't want that this year? How does that work?
No, that one was up to just kind of how the schedule fell and how things played out. Again, back in the old days, one of my first tasks as an intern at the Mid-American Conference office 100 years ago was coming up with a 8-year football schedule. And back then it was on pencil and paper, and you're trying to make all these different rules work. And some of those rules are, things like Central Michigan back in the day couldn't have a home game on the first 2 Saturdays of hunting season. There's all these things that you work through to make it all fit. And I think in this case, there was probably times that TV requested a certain game, and that happened to be a game that we were home. And so that's how it fell. In this case, they wanted a specific game in that time slot, and we were slated to be the road team that year.
So wait, is it they put the schedule into the hands of an intern? The hell's the MAC doing?
Well, it was a long time ago, and there was only 4 full-time staff members back then. And look, I think when a commissioner sees immense talent, they try to take advantage of that talent. And obviously, that's what the commissioner at the time saw. I almost got through that without laughing too.
I think Kelvin Sampson believes that there was an intern in charge of the basketball scheduling this year in the American Athletic Conference with their schedule.
As much as we complain when he brought that up Saturday that the University of Houston has not had a home Saturday game during the entire conference schedule, I think that would be a little tougher than I'd want to take on. Now, last year we had 3 or 4 Sundays and only 1 Saturday, so it can happen.
So there's no minimum you have to play if you're a member of the American Conference 2 or 4 weekday games during the course of the contract with ESPN. It's all up to ESPN, whoever they want on their schedule for those games, correct?
It is. Now, the contract does stipulate there's a maximum number of Thursday and Friday games that the conference can play, and that no school is required to play more than 2 of them in a season.
Okay.
Then the other kind of the tougher parts of it in terms of your fan base is that you'll know the date, but maybe not the time, and they've got this 13-day window, meaning that they would announce it on a Sunday for 2 Saturdays later, but they can also hold back either 5 or 6 times during the season that they can request a 6-day window where they're looking at a couple different options. And that's, to me, that's probably the hardest thing on our fans is not knowing for a lot, basically from October 1st through the rest of the season, you don't know until 2 weeks or even in some cases 1 week before what time the game is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the good news is most of the time when that happens, it means that you're playing on a major network, and that also means that you're having a really good season. So when you're stuck with those things, it usually is good news.
Yeah, I mean, if TV wants you, that's always a good thing.
It is. It means that an ESPN has subscribed to the same type of thought process for years, is they want the very best matchups, the very best teams that they can get on their best networks and in their best times. And that's what they have always tried to do. So you know that if you're being asked to go on that 6-day window, or if they're trying to decide between ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC, that you're obviously an attractive draw for them, and that means you're having a pretty good season. So those are, you hear people joke about first world problems. Those are some of our first world problems. That is a good problem to have because it means we have success.
Steve Macy, Senior Associate AD at the University of Memphis, joining us on the program. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve Macy. You've been around college athletics a long time, and I know this is one of those deals where you're just kind of guessing. You don't know how it all transpire over the next couple of weeks. But Tigers with 4 men's basketball games remaining in the regular season before the conference tournament. Are you starting to get into one of those, well, if we win 3 of 4, if we win all 4, we're back in the picture? Like, do you have a scenario where the Tigers are at least in the conversation for an at-large before whatever happens in the conference tournament?
I think it's so early right now that I think for us to get into the at-large conversation, we've got to finish in the top 4 in the conference because the NCAA has typically not done a whole lot of leapfrogging teams in their conference standings. That they've been relatively, I guess in most cases, they are respectful that where you finish in your conference standings in the regular season is a reflection of a great body of work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you finish 6th or 7th in your league, they're probably not going to jump you over somebody that finished 4th. So I think that's one of the first things that has to happen. And if that happens, it means that we've won a lot of these remaining 4 ball games. And I think that takes care of itself. And then you say, okay, well, how far can we get in the conference tournament as a top 4 seed? And then you start looking at numbers. All right, what's the net? How many of those Tier 1 games have we won? Did people that were in Tier 1 drop out of Tier 1 or drop back up? All of those things start playing around. And again, it's kind of like the conference football schedule we were talking about. You think about it from a singular point of view, but remember that there's all these other schools and teams that are having the same type of input into their overall NCAA look, is that they're winning games and losing games and finishing in their conference standings in different spaces. So it really is a moving target. So, Greg, a long-winded answer to, I think at this point in time, it's about winning as many games as you can and kind of taking a look at it and saying, okay, this is where we are. And then going into the conference tournament, do you need to win it? Do you need to get to the finals? Do you need to look good? All of those things will come into play. But I think based on who we have left on the schedule in our league, if you win out, that's going to look awfully attractive.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, in the effort to finish 4th, you get the 2 teams you're tied with right now for that spot. You play both of them again, and obviously it starts tonight with SMU. You really need this win because otherwise SMU's not only got the better record. They go a game up on you, but they've also got the tiebreaker, having beaten you twice. So it becomes really difficult then to find yourself leapfrogging SMU in the final 3 games of the year.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Eli. I think it becomes almost this is probably a must-win if there's any chance of being in the NCAA at-large pool. Again, a lot of things can change, and you can go beat Houston and Wichita State, and those could look more attractive. But yeah, I think this is a very, very important game for the entire postseason opportunities for the Tigers.
Steve, one final thing, and don't get too technical with it, but I know there was I don't know if you call it the restructuring of the athletic department, something that I was privy to when I met Laird last week, and you were there at the event for the Tiger Sports Properties. I had not heard about that. Obviously, you guys on the inside certainly did, and he had mentioned that there was going to be that announcement, and then we saw it, and we talked about it on the radio show, and kind of, it's still a little bit not confusing, but we kind of see a hierarchy inside the office. Why was it so important to do that, and what does it all mean, the restructuring of how it's going to work inside the Tiger Athletic Department?
And try not to speak for Laird, but I think one of the key things, he tried to meet with every single athletic department person in his first 5 months. And as part of that, he wanted to gather as much information as possible, see where the efficiencies were, see where things were working well and where things weren't working well. And it's no surprise, to really anybody that is around any organization that communication was the number one thing that people wanted to improve. And so as he started looking at the clusters of people and roles and responsibilities and how he wants them to work together, this is the structure that he feels is the best way for us to communicate better internally, communicate better with our campus community, communicate better with our coaches and student athletes, and communicate better with our fan base. And I think it's going to be really good for all of us to have some real clear lines of how we're operating together and making sure that everything that is supposed to be disseminated from one person to another, that there's no surprises, that when someone comes on your radio show to talk about the football schedule, that anybody that would have that opportunity to talk to you is kind of singing from the same choir book, that we all understand what's going on and can, execute our jobs in a way that is reflective of the professionalism that he wants, as well as, we talked about earlier, as well as how good this program is. We needed to kind of make a structural change to ensure that we were putting the things in process that would make us as successful as possible. And look, I think there will be some tweaks that come up over time, but this is a really, really solid structure that's going to allow us to work more as a unit and less as silos. And by collectively working on some of these things, I think we'll be a heck of a lot better than we have been. And we haven't been terrible, but I think we're about to embark on a time where we're going to be really, really good.
Well, Steve, happy Mardi Gras to you. Go get you a king cake and enjoy yourself.
Thank you, and I expect to see you at Mass tomorrow, Eli.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, you'll probably not going to see me. I'm going to be honest with you. Got to be honest.
What a good comeback by Steve, the senior associate AD at the University of Memphis. 2.5 Questions is coming up next at 12 o'clock. Don Wade will join us for the dish. Tony Pauline at 12:25 on the NFL draft, and also the Combine, which is going on right now in Indianapolis. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Imagine for a moment the perfect food, just what you're craving, made hot, fresh, and fast. And you're imagining Sunrise on Jefferson. Whether you're going to settle in for a nice leisurely breakfast or lunch, or you're going to swing by for the best takeout in Memphis, the ideal meal is always waiting for you at Sunrise. Maybe you're craving a perfect breakfast. That's at Sunrise. Or a delicious burger. That's at Sunrise, too. No matter what it is you're craving, I guarantee it's on the menu at Sunrise, just waiting for you to order it.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Your Memphis Tigers football program completed the greatest season in program history with 12 wins, a conference championship, and a berth in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Season tickets for the 2020 season are on sale now and start at just $100 when you buy 4 in the family fun zone or $150 for end zone seating. Get your season tickets by May 15th and receive a free gift, concessions deals, exclusive access to regular season and postseason tickets, and more. Get your season tickets today at GoTigersGo.com or call 901-678-2331. Memphis Tigers football.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and Pool, 9393 Poplar Avenue; and East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road.
The Can-Am Spring Fever event is here and ready to take you on the ultimate off-road ride and get you some serious savings. Can-Am is built for ripping through trails, crawling through mud, cruising over dunes, getting the job done. Get it done for less. Farmers and ranchers can save up to $1,500 on select 2020 Defender models, or even on select 2019 models, save up to $2,500 during the Spring Fever event. Get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. Visit us today, Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com.
Bust it.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. This hour of Sports 56 Middays is also brought to you by Gold Strike Casino and Resort in Tunica. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Now you know what to do, G. Bust the move.
Tonight here on Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7, we will have Ole Miss basketball. They'll be at Auburn tonight. It's 5:30 pregame. The baseball game will not be on the network. That'll only be on in Oxford. But we will have basketball tonight here on Sports 56. Ole Miss at Auburn with the pregame beginning at 5:30 for that one. Time now for 2.5 questions.
Who, what, where, when, how, and why? Questions start with these. Step right up and answer all my questions, if you please.
I'm just a normal kid, like you, except that I ask questions. And because I'm brave enough to ask questions, I come under scrutiny.
Asking all them questions. Why you asking all them questions?
Now here is a question for you.
What does the fuck say?
All right, Greg, give me the Gaston Power Rankings for the top 5 teams in the NBA right now.
Okay. All right, let's see. Good question. Bring up the standings just to make sure I don't miss anybody. All right. Got to go. It's close now. The Lakers coming on, but I'm going to go still right now. Milwaukee 1, Lakers 2. I'll go Toronto 3. Ooh. Yeah, this is what they've accomplished, not necessarily what I think will happen in the end. That they're the best, they're the third best team in the NBA, but right now they are. I mean, right now they're 42-15. Fourth would be the Clippers. And 5 will be, I'll give Boston the edge over Denver. So that'd be my 5. Milwaukee, Lakers, Toronto, Clippers, Boston.
So we have 3 Eastern Conference teams in the top 5 of the league.
How about that? It's so top-heavy, the East.
Okay.
Then again, in the West, is it a little bit more top-heavy than it's been in the past? There's certainly capable teams, but is Dallas and Oklahoma City, even Utah, I mean, are they really threats to the Lakers and maybe the Clippers?
Gabe, what would be the Kuhn power rankings?
I would go Bucks, Celtics from the East, and then get this. Lakers, Clippers, obviously.
Wait,
Rockets.
So you put the Celtics as the number 2 team in the league?
Not in order. I'm not
Well,
saying
no,
in
it's
order.
in order.
Yeah,
In order?
Top 5 teams
In order?
in the league, your power
In
rankings.
order.
Yeah.
In order. I'm going Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Celtics, Rockets.
Ooh, put the Rockets in the top 5.
The Rockets, since they've made those changes, have been.
Okay.
I thought it would throw them off, but they've been really good.
I don't have a problem with that.
So you're
But I
going
like,
to go.
I like the fact that you put Lakers, Clippers 1, 2. I think I would do that too. It's hard to do that to the Bucks, but
But here's the thing. With the Clippers, though, I put Lakers ahead just because of principle. But the Clippers, I feel like in the playoffs are going to be very tough to beat.
with the addition of Reggie Jackson, like they got so many different guys who can come at you now, like
They
can
can literally-
score, like could go get you 20 on a
They
night.
can go 10 deep.
With Lou Williams and Reggie Jackson coming off the bench, and then like Montrezl Harrell, who just dunks everything. Like all he does is
But here's
dunk.
the thing.
They
They
got a
can
really
go 10
good.
deep and all be in the plus.
Here's the thing, though. Look, there's LeBron, there's Kawhi, okay? But then they have Anthony Davis. And I don't think the Clippers have a counter for Anthony Davis. I think the Lakers are better. But I got to go, how can you, not – I mean, at this point right now, February 25th, Milwaukee's 49-8, for goodness sakes. So if you're going power rankings, I can't go what I'm presuming will happen down the road.
So who you think is the best team?
Right now, through 57 games, they're the best team. Milwaukee's the best team. They're the best team in the NBA. They're 49-8.
Well, you can't just look at record. They play a different schedule than the teams in the West.
No, I understand that. But if you look at any other power rankings, they're going to have Milwaukee number 1. The Lakers, I've seen it.
And back to your Anthony Davis counter. Who in the league has a counter for that?
That's my point. Yeah. That's why I give the Lakers the edge over the Clippers.
But then the Clippers have.
Who has the answer for Kawhi and PG?
3 through 8 are all better.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys, but there's a lot of veteran players on that Lakers team.
The problem is when you get the benches off and Montrezl Harrell against your bench, that becomes a nightmare. Him and Lou Williams off the Clippers bench.
Lou Williams scares me.
It's like, what are you supposed to do?
By the way, I know he's really, really good, but I think Paul George is still a little bit overrated.
Like Landry Shamet is really good. Like you forget that he's even a part of that. I mean, you're bringing Landry Shamet, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. Reggie Jackson isn't what he used to, but Reggie Jackson can still, on a given night, get you 20 easily.
Sure.
JaMychal Green, he'll come in and knock down a couple of threes. Like that bench is.
But they're all
ridiculous.
throwing in these additional players. Does it mess up chemistry? Each one has a Morris now. I mean, that's what I wish for every Christmas, a Morris under the tree. I never get one. They each got a Morris now. Rondo, don't forget Rondo with the Lakers. I mean, veteran, proven guard.
Just the Bucks in a series with the Lakers and Clippers right now. I just don't know if they have enough to win the thing. They would win a couple games, no question.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm predicting right now the Bucks to win the NBA title. I'm just going right now from what they have accomplished this season. To me, and what have they done? If you could look this up, what have they done against the Lakers and the Clippers this year? Obviously, they're only going to play a home and home, but I wonder what the Bucks have done against the Clippers and the Lakers. So I'm going to give the Bucks the nod.
All right. Without knowing the teams right now, we don't know who the teams will be. You can have a pretty good guess.
Right.
Would you take all of the 1 and 2 seeds or the rest of the teams to win the NCAA tournament?
Well, 1 and 2 seeds. What am I looking at? Jerry Palm?
No, it's who ends up being the 1 and 2 seeds.
Oh,
we don't
I see.
know the teams.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Do you think a 1 or 2 seed will win the NCAA tournament or something lower?
No, I'm taking the field. It's been crazy.
What if I gave you the 3s?
Top 12 teams, basically. How low do I want to go with a team? I mean, anything's possible this year. I just think it is. Watch it be like 4 number 1s, make it to the NBA final.
Real quick, the Bucks are 3-0 against the Clippers and Lakers this year. Beat the Clippers twice and the Lakers once.
Yeah, I got to put them as the number 1 in the power rankings. But I'm going to go. Can you give me the 4 as well?
Well, if you give it the 4s, you'd have to take that. It'd be idiotic to take this.
I think I'll.
To say
I mean,
a
how much
5-seed or lower is going to win the tournament.
I know. But if there's any year, it looks like this year could be that crazy, crazy year. But I'm going top 3. So you're talking 12 teams. So it's one more line. Do I want to change? Yeah, give me the top 3 seeds. Give me the 12 teams there at the top 3 spots.
All
top
right.
3 seed lines, rather.
Deontay Wilder blames his heavy costume for the problems in the fight.
Yeah.
Was it dumber to actually wear the costume or to make the excuse that the costume cost him?
Make the excuse. Make the excuse. Look, you're trying to be a showman. You know, you can argue whether or not that was stupid, what he wore. I mean, Fury had the entrance too. They're all trying to make it a big spectacle, and they did a good job.
But Fury
doing
got
that.
carried in. That's the best way to save your legs. Get carried into the ring.
Yes.
And not to mention when they did their little, drop-ins on their dressing room and all that, they were in Fury's dressing room. They were just chilling. They weren't doing anything. And Wilder was up and moving and stretching and doing too much.
Look,
Hey, he's getting ready to put on a 40-pound costume.
But that excuse is the worst excuse I've ever
It's a
heard.
horrible excuse.
So that's dumber than actually wearing the costume.
Yes.
They're thinking of I should wear a 45-pound costume into the ring.
I mean, that's stupid too. But obviously, making that excuse, that is a poor excuse. It looks like he's going to exercise the clause in the contract to have Tyson Fury number 3. But here's the deal: you are ready to go. You've worked. You've trained. It's not like Wilder did not train. Talk to Mark Breland's the guy who ended up throwing in the towel, but he's one of the co-trainers, former great champion himself, and he was ready to go. That punch by Fury that hit Wilder in the ear, and we talked about this yesterday, screwed up his equilibrium. If you've ever been hit in the ear, and probably very few have been hit by Tyson Fury or somebody that large in the ear with no protection. Even with you, like when you have one of those boxing protective gear on and you still get hit there, it's still going to hurt. This one was certainly something that I think maybe busted his eardrum, damaged his equilibrium. So that is a poor excuse to say the reason why he lost the fight was because he wore that suit into the ring.
All right, bonus question. I found out today that I like Tua Tagovailoa more than I thought I did. His 2 dogs are named Dallas and Star. I know he's not a hockey fan. If you were to name a pet based on a sports theme, what would you name the pet?
On a sports theme?
Like your favorite teams or something like that.
Let's see. Well, if I had a pet horse and it was a female, I'd name him Philly. Name her Philly for the Phillies. No, I would say Colt. That would be my name for a dog, Colt.
That's not bad.
Right?
Not bad. Got to be a male.
Would you go Battlehawk?
No Battlehawk. Absolutely not. I have no idea.
And of course, Colt I could use for a horse too, but I'm not about to get a pet horse.
Y'all look at me like I have an idea. I have no good idea.
Who's your real favorite team? The Cardinals? If it's your number one team.
Like the Blues would probably have to be there. Cardinals and Blues. They're probably tied.
You're my boy, Blue. Name your dog Blue.
Blue is so played out.
That's.
How about
Louis? How about Louis? Let's go with Louis.
Why Louis?
St. Louis.
Oh.
Louis.
That's not bad. I mean, it's a cool name. Louis is a cool name. I love
That's not going to specific to
I have a
team.
cousin named Louis. I like Louis. What else? What would yours be, Eli?
I would probably name my dog Emmett.
Okay.
Oh, that was outside the box. I like that. Ozzy. How about Ozzy?
You're going to go Ozzy? We doing favorite players?
You can have a wizard.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. People would think of me different if I named my dog Wizard. But I'm also not with the dogs.
Wizard,
I hope I'm
you
not
need to go
offending
whiz.
anyone when I say this, but like when people name dogs like just straight up regular person names,
You don't like that?
That throws me off a little bit.
Yeah, some of my favorite players
Like
of all
Joe?
time.
Like your dog's name's Joe?
Joe.
Hey, Bill.
Wait, come here.
Bill, get over here.
Bill, come here. Bob.
My favorite baseball player of all time is Rod Carew. I can't see naming my dog Rod. Hey, Rod.
No, Rod wouldn't work.
Nah, it wouldn't work. I just keep with Colt. Colt's a cool name. and the Indianapolis Colts are my favorite team. All right, when we come back, hour 3 of the program, Don Wade will join us in studio for the dish, and then Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com and the Draft Analyst podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. We'll talk to him about the combine that's going on and, of course, the draft, which is right around the corner. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
There's a new commissary in town in Collierville. Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking. No telephone pole to get in your way. A cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Lim and Brace.
Get to Holly Chevrolet in Marion to take advantage of great deals during Holly's 2020 kickoff sale. Right now, get 0% financing for 72 months on the all-new 2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 plus $1,000 bonus earnings. Or get 0% financing for 72 months on a new 2020 Chevy Equinox plus $500 cash allowance. Stop by today and check out Holly's large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs ready for you to enjoy. And at Holly Chevrolet, it's a no-pressure, no-hassle environment. As a matter of fact, there's no badgers and never pay a dock fee. Find new roads at Exit 14 off I-55 in Marion, just 15 minutes from downtown Memphis, or online at hollychevrolet.com.
2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 stock number N4007. 2020 Chevy Equinox LD front-wheel drive stock number N4074. 0% financing on approved credit. All discounts, rebates, and incentives are included and apply. Must qualify finance with GM Financial on 2005 or newer GM product. Prices not include tax, tag, title, registration. Take delivery by 3/2/20. See dealer for details.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. That's right, free, zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1, and 87.7 FM, as well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app, and at home, tell Alexa or Google to play Sports 56. If it's happening in the world of sports, we've got it covered. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Don't that feel real funky, y'all?
Bring the noise, bring the funk. 12:05 is the time. Hour 3, Sports 56 Middays. It's the Tuesday, February 25th, 2020 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoie, Gabe Kuhn. We're in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Of course, Sports 56 Middays delivered each and every day by our title and presenting sponsor, FedEx. Visit FedEx.com/e-commerce to see how to turn browsers into buyers. Learn how FedEx can help you take your business to the next level. Don Wade from the Daily Memphian joins us every Tuesday for The Dish. A number of topics we want to jump into with Don. How are you, first of all?
I'm well, and I heard the conversation about Wilder, and was the excuse. Hey, there's an excuse worse even than that. Eli, this one's for you. Leon Durham and the Gatorade on the glove. That's the worst all time.
I would think about naming my dog after Leon Durham too. The Bull. I could name him Bull for Leon Durham.
You know what?
My favorite player of all time.
Don brings up that's a good topic if people want to text in worst excuse in sports. Worst excuse in sports, because right now we're in the middle of these aren't bad excuses. They're legitimate. Tigers with the youth and the injury.
Right.
And now the Grizzlies with the injuries, too, which are adding up. We'll get to the Grizzlies here in just a second. But I know you wrote recently about one Ryan Silverfield, the head coach of the Memphis Tigers football team. He takes over for Mike Norvell, getting ready for spring football, which is just around the corner. Anything that was eye-popping from what we maybe didn't know about Ryan Silverfield that you found out during your interview?
Yeah, there was a lot, actually. So I got together with him in his office. And he's telling me this story. I asked him a question, something like, give me your earliest football memory, right? And so he tells me this story about basically he's, 8, 9 years old, something like this. And he would take his mother's jazzercise weights. Remember jazzercise?
Yes.
Jazzercise ankle weights, put them on, cradle a football in his arms, and run around the block, run around the neighborhood, really for miles. And so I'm listening to the story and I'm thinking, this is pretty good. Is it too good? It's pretty good. Is it too good, right? So
he didn't have the tights on either. He didn't wear the tights and the ankle.
We didn't get into that.
All right.
And so he's telling me that, and I just kind of look at him. I say, really? Yeah. And he says, yeah. He says, I still have the scars. And I thought, I'm just going to go for it. And I said, can I see them? And without any hesitation, he takes off his shoes, rolls down his socks, and shows me the marks on his ankles from running in those ankle weights. And then later when I talked to his family and talked to his mom, she brought the story up and talked about how neighbors would literally call her at home or at work to make sure that they weren't punishing him, that he was doing this on his own. So there's that. And then the way I started the story was when he was a glorified grad assistant. He was actually still an undergraduate student at a Division III school in Virginia. For 2 years, he lived under this old gymnasium. They called it the dungeon. And his mom visited once, and she found a rat in the drawer.
Oh!
He made the comment that he was a high investor in glue mouse traps. But there was one really cool thing that happened in connection with it is there was a singer that came to perform at the college, had a few hours to kill, and hung out with him for a while. It was John Mayer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hung out with him in the dungeon before, as Ryan said, before he was famous. So that's just a taste. There's a lot of interesting stuff.
That's wild. John Mayer, Ryan Silverfield, and some rats.
Go to dailymemphian.com. You'll have to click on sports or then click on the subcategory Memphis Tigers, scroll down, and you can find the story. I will warn you, it's long. But if you're interested in Ryan Silverfield, there's a lot of good stuff in there, including some great comments from our own Gabe Kuhn.
It's a great story, Don.
John Mayer and Jazzercise come together. They meet at Ryan Silverfield.
Nothing wrong with a long story as long as it's interesting. And I'll tell you what, Don Wade writes a lot of great stories, folks, so check it out. All right, so the competition we knew was going to be stiff here in the latter part of the season for the Grizzlies. And that's an understatement. Lakers, Clippers, Rockets. But now you compound the issue of playing tougher teams with now the Jaren Jackson Jr. injury. Dylan Brooks is as cold as ice, as Foreigner once said. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for this year. I do absolutely for the future. I don't think missing the playoffs means anything. I am impressed. I will make sure that at the end of the season, when it's all said and done, that I applaud this team, this administration. But we're kind of caught up the last month or so in this frenzy of the playoffs, Don. It would be a little bit disappointing. Is there any hope, even though right now they're sitting in eighth, that they're going to be able to hang on?
I think it's going to be really tough. And, obviously the injuries are a huge part of that. The schedule is a big part of that. But the other piece of it is I really thought in watching the Lakers and Clippers games that you could see that these teams that have much bigger goals, right, that want to get to are fighting for seeding and to get to the NBA Finals, win a title, all of that, that they've already upped the intensity. They're in a different gear than they were 2 weeks ago. And they're going to experience the same thing, I think, tomorrow night in Houston when they play the Rockets. So it kind of reminded me of the early version of Grizzlies playoff teams, which the first 3 years they got swept, went 0 for 4 every time. And I remember that team under Hubie Brooks that won.
Hubie Brown.
Hubie Brooks. I knew it as soon as I said it. Wow, one of those old baseball names. They always get me. Had they won 50 under Hubie Brooks, that would have been a hell of a story.
If Hubie Brooks came back as a basketball coach, what a great, amazing story.
I thought you may have watched that recent piece about the United States hockey team, and you were thinking Herb Brooks.
Well, yeah, I did, actually. But, they won a lot of those 50 games that year by just playing harder than the other team. And then you go to the playoffs, and everybody's prepared to play hard. Yeah. And so, where you're still deficient from a talent standpoint, from a depth standpoint, that gets exposed pretty quickly. And I think we're getting an early preview of that right now.
Well, LeBron came out talking about he was approaching that game as if it was Game 7. The Clippers, Kawhi had just called out his team about we got to turn this up. So you were walking into a bear trap in LA with both of those games.
And you were walking into the house that Kobe built. Kobe passes away. You got the Lakers and the Clippers residents in that arena. And we know that Kobe played about as hard as anybody has ever played any sport. You better believe those guys weren't going to what. They were going to go out there and play full throttle. And like Eli said, the importance of these games now.
Yeah, I would be stunned if they win in Houston. I think the game that's going to tell us if they feel like it's, out of their control is Friday night back in FedEx Forum against Sacramento. Sacramento slapped them around fairly good out there in the first game. They came back a couple times. They made it competitive, but they put themselves in a hole. That's a game they should win. Or could win, I should say. They could win, even without Jaren Jackson Jr. playing, is Friday night against the Kings. They've got the Lakers coming in the next night. That seems like a pretty tall task. But if they don't come out and give it their best and show something in that Kings game Friday night, then I'd probably be ready to say, yeah, the good times, the best times are definitely over for the year.
The problem with the Kings game is obviously if you don't have Jaren, that's a huge loss. We'll see what the Brandon Clark situation is. So then it comes down to Ja. But the Kings have Ja's kryptonite. De'Aaron Fox has been the guy that Ja has really struggled against. Every time they've played this year, he has struggled against De'Aaron Fox.
Because he's kind of him, but bigger.
Yeah. He's got the speed is not an issue at all.
Right.
De'Aaron Fox is so fast, like he does the speed. So like that's the thing. Like if you don't have Jaren, especially if you don't have Brandon Clark, and all of a sudden on the other side you do have the guy who has probably had the most success against Ja of anybody.
But we're talking about maybe they can get a win at home against the Sacramento Kings despite all these things. They have to beat some of these better teams, and they're going to have to win some on the road. That's why I think this combination of who they have left on their schedule, injuries, poor outside shooting, which has really affected Ja because teams are just converging on him in the paint. I just think it's almost impossible that they can hang on.
It's really tough, and I want to make clear what I'm saying when I say this. I am no way implying that Dylan Brooks' poor shooting is connected to him signing the contract and I don't care as much. I don't think there's a shred of truth
Absolutely,
to that.
You're right.
I think it'd be the opposite. He feels more pressure now because of the contract.
I think you're right, Eli. But I will say this: had he been playing shooting like this for a stretch of time before they agreed, let's do this, I don't think they'd agreed to do it because he looks like he had looked at the very beginning of the season when, by his own admission, he was really kind of struggling to catch a rhythm and to feel like himself out there. And of course, he had hardly played in his second season, right? This is his third year, but it's really kind of his second year. Yeah. So, if he's with the injuries they have, if he's playing like that, it's really going to be tough for them to do enough offensively to beat anybody.
Yeah, I mean, especially with you're just look down the options. What do you I don't understand Kyle Anderson being in the starting lineup because I just don't like what he brings in combination because what he really. I've never liked Kyle Anderson signing here, but he doesn't shoot. They need a shooter at that position because he's not going to have the ball in his hands as a facilitator because Ja is that guy on this team. What would you like to see, assuming Brandon Clark is going to be back healthy, but while Jaren's out as the starting lineup?
I definitely don't want to mess with Tyus Jones. I think he needs to come off the bench. I think Josh Jackson needs to come off the bench because the better he continues to play, the more I think he kind of becomes your go-to make something happen guy in that role. I would probably take a shot at starting DeAnthony Melton, which puts you kind of small, but I think it ultimately gives you more versatility. Chris Harrington, my colleague over at the Daily Memphian, before Brandon Clark got injured, had thrown out the idea of starting Clark and Thing together and having
Jonas come off the bench.
But I don't think that's something that Taylor Jenkins wants to do. I don't think that they believe that you're going to get your best Jonas if you do that, and I tend to agree. I understand why on paper that looks like a really good thing to do, but I think you kind of lose Jonas if you do it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Wednesday will be interesting because you have the Rockets that have gone completely small, and the Grizzlies. Do you counter that, or do you try to go big and go the opposite way? I mean, what happens Wednesday? Because that one's more of a chess match as far as who you're going to put on the floor.
I mean, I just keep looking at that game and thinking I can see Harden going for 50 and Westbrook getting a triple-double, assuming his thumb is okay and he plays. And if that happens, I don't know what matters, right? I mean, like that. I could see 80 points between the two of them, 50 and 30. And then okay, it's tough for this team to score now. They had 14 points in the first quarter against the Clippers. So I don't know that anything that happens at Houston, I wouldn't put much stock in it for the rest of the season. I think you should take another loss, get back home, and start trying to heal.
The other hope is towards the end of the season, at the very end of the season, last few games, if you're still in that position to earn the 8th spot, will some of the teams that you're playing be, air quotes, resting guys for the postseason, not going as hard?
You better hope so. You're going to need that.
You need a few of those, right?
No, you do. You need some gimmies. You need a couple of teams to just give you schedule wins down the stretch.
The last, is it like 8 or 9 games are against teams that are going to be in the playoffs. It's just whether they will.
You just got to hope seeds get locked in, Yeah,
because you're looking at Houston, Philadelphia, Oklahoma City, Denver. Portland is not right now. Dallas, New York obviously is not. Toronto twice. Boston. like all of those teams, just depending on who is locked up seeds and who hasn't locked up seeds at that point.
I mean, that schedule is absolutely brutal.
And the problem is, too, you don't just have one team chasing you. There's like a pack nipping at your heels now.
So what do you think about Justice Winslow? Because you still have what Zach Kleiman said was that he will play. He's not on the shelf for the rest of the season. When he's ready to go, how do you implement him?
Well, I think where you are in 2 weeks, it was 2 weeks from the statement they put out on Jaron when they'd be reevaluated, which always tells me, like, okay, it's probably going to be another 2 weeks before he's actually on the court. So now you're talking about being trending toward late March for getting him back. I think the decision on him and Winslow both is getting, what's your record at that point? Or if you're just in a total free fall, they might not play either one of them the rest of the way because you're only a month away from the end of the season. So why take the risk? All you're doing is, you're not going to make the playoffs at that point. Maybe you win a couple more games if you play them. It just, hurts you in your draft position wherever you're going to end up, I guess. The
lottery position, because you're not. I mean, it's either going to be top of the draft or not.
They've really shown that they're going to be conservative, careful with the health of young players in that kind of situation, which is the right call. Frustrating for fans at times, but the right call. So I think there's still a chance we don't see either of them if they keep losing the way they are right now.
That's right. I would not be surprised at all if we see Ja sit one of the back-to-backs this weekend.
Well, I think he plays against. Well, I don't know. You mentioned that. That's a good point. The Fox matchup. Maybe they sent him against Sacramento and play him against but I don't know how do you win that game without him and Jerry. You got to win that game.
The thing is, you could see him against the Lakers because you go, we're not going to beat them anyway.
Right.
But it's going to be a full house crowd. I don't know that they want to sit him in that game. And since it's the Lakers, they may not do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if sometime soon we see Ja just get a rest, whatever. What's the term?
Load management.
A load management.
No, I think you're right.
Don, real quick here. We're up against the clock, but I asked this question to Eli, I think, last week, and we had Matt Moore on. I asked him about it. If the Pelicans, who are making the run right now, somehow get into that 8th spot, Zion plays all the rest of the games, continues to score 25 to 30 points, which he's doing with minute restrictions. They get into the playoffs. Grizzlies do not. Can he steal that Rookie of the Year award?
I think he can. I think right now he's a tsunami that's still a good ways offshore, but he's coming. And I think it's definitely a possibility.
All right, he is Don Wade from the Daily Memphian. Make sure to read all his terrific stories at the Daily Memphian. Follow him on Twitter at DWadeMEM. And, of course, you can hear him every Tuesday during this time slot for The Dish right here on Middays.
Fleet Feet, the place to go to get all your running gear, especially shoes just right for you. They'll take a look at the way you run or walk and fit you with shoes that are perfect for you at either one of their 2 locations. East Memphis, Laurelwood Shopping Center next to Panera Bread Company. Out in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levy next door to the Hueys. That's the 2 locations of Fleet Feet. And with spring just around the corner, they'll be getting group runs and other things going on that they do. They're all about runners and always have things going on that you can get involved with at Fleet Feet. You can go to their website at fleetfeetmemphis.com to find out what they've got going on. Also a Facebook page that keeps you up to date with that, or just ask at either one of the 2 locations of Fleet Feet.
When we come back, Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com, will join us. We'll talk combine and draft. This is Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Watch out now. Man, what kind of way is that to start a promo? We want to tell the people about R&R on Sports every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Watch out now.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, And of course, the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
It's not too early to start planning for spring at Family Leisure. New pools are starting at $19.99, spas starting at $21.99, and swim spas now only $99.99. 5-piece patio furniture starts at only $799. Pool chemicals, toys, accessories, and more up to 20% off. Mention this ad, you'll get free delivery and 1 month of chemicals with your spa purchase. Start your spring planning now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, where family and fun come together.
The Can-Am Spring Fever event is here and ready to take you on the ultimate off-road ride and get you some serious savings. Can-Am is built for ripping through trails, crawling through mud, cruising over dunes, getting the job done. Get it done for less. Farmers and ranchers can save up to $1,500 on select 2020 Defender models, or even on select 2019 models, save up to $2,500 during the Spring Fever event. Get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. Visit us today, Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com.
The construction reduction event is on at Wolf Chase Honda. Exciting changes are in the works and inventory must be reduced. Get the best deals right now on all remaining 2019 Hondas while they last. Every new car, every certified, every used car, price to go. Get pre-approved now at wolfchasehonda.com. Wolf Chase Honda is expanding and our prices are dropping. Don't miss these savings. Act now. This huge construction reduction event ends soon.
For the best lineup of quality, fuel-efficient, and fun-to-drive vehicles, get to Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan. Over 1,000 new certified and pre-owned vehicles in one great location. Catch the savings now during our huge model year-end sales event. Score an amazing deal at Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan and get to the game in style at Germantown Road and Highway 64. Family-owned since 1981.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports 56 Middays delivered by FedEx. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Welcome back, everybody. 12:26 is the time. Final 30 and change here on this Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Middays. Tony Pauline will join us in just a moment. Tomorrow on the program, of course, Jerry Palm will join us. He has his latest bracketology up at cbssports.com. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and he will be joining us tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Don't forget dinner and a movie. It is all coming up on the program tomorrow. But right now, it is time to talk to Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com and draft analyst podcast host on the Believe Podcast Network. He'll be heading to Indianapolis for the Combine, which is already underway. And he joins us now on Middays. You can follow Tony on Twitter at Tony Pauline. Hey, Tony.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I hope you're doing well. I see the measurements of Joe Burrow's hand. All of a sudden now he's not throwing at the Combine, talking about retirement on Twitter. I mean, I think it's just like chaos right now.
I guess. I mean, he's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of confidence. But, you know, this is part and parcel to this is what the Combine has grown to, out of control as far as I'm concerned. And I've been to every Combine since 2001 versus the Colossus social media versus social media. So I guess this is what happens when you combine the two.
When did the hand size of the quarterbacks become such a big deal?
Well, it's always been important. I mean, teams always want a quarterback to have a hand of 9 inches or more. If the hand size is less than 9 inches, and that's always been a barometer. Mitch Trubisky, you remember his hand size and his height came into question a couple of years ago. If the hand size is not 9 inches or more, then teams think it's an issue for a quarterback to to grip the ball, to basically handle the football, especially in bad weather, rainy weather or cold weather. These measurements, a lot of teams, look to these measurements. Your offensive tackles, you want to have arms that are at least 33 inches long. Your receivers, you want to have hands that are 9 inches bigger, 9 inches or more, because it's easier to snatch the pass out of the air. So this is going on, forever. They call it metrics now. But in the past, it was just that it was, you want this guy's arm to be this long and this guy's hand to be this long, and, guys are high cut or low cut or whatever.
It doesn't appear that we're going to have an Eli Manning situation with Joe Burrow. He says he'd play for the Bengals if pick number 1. I don't think there's any question. Tony, do you think this is a slam dunk? Burrow, number 1 to Cincinnati. Cincinnati does not trade the pick, and they will take Joe.
I think it's very likely. We're sitting here on February 25th, and the draft is another 2 months away. So, and I've been at this for a long time. Nothing's a slam dunk, especially when you're dealing with the Cincinnati Bengals. But I think it's very likely that Burrow is selected number 1 overall by the Bengals. It makes a lot of sense in so many realms, considering the fact that he's an Ohio kid.
Yeah. What do you think of Burrow as a player? I mean, had an unbelievable season this season, but it's 1 year that he did that. What do you think of him when you see him on film?
Basically what you said to me. I mean, there is some concern. You always want to get a quarterback when they're headed in the right direction. You want to get a quarterback coming off a good year versus the guy coming off a mediocre or poor season. Burrow's coming off a great year. And the fact is, the brighter the lights shone on him, the better he played. And there's something to be said for that. He's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of confidence. I think the social media tweets just say something about the confidence that he has in himself, as opposed to a guy like, say, Justin Herbert, who's really seems to be lacking in that area. The 1-year wonder, if you will, does concern me. I mean, he has been in college for a while. He is a fifth-year senior. But the fact is, a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, a guy like Justin Herbert, Jordan Love of Utah State has a significantly larger body of work on a higher level than Joe Burrow. So that has to be a concern. But, we live in the day and age of where people want instant results. And, Joe Burrow is the flavor of the day at the quarterback position. He's got great upside, and he's a real good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. There are some things that he's got to polish about his game. He's not the perfect quarterback prospect. There are going to be bumps in the road. But, he did everything right in 2019.
You brought up Tua's name, Tua Tagovailoa. If there's concerns about Burrow, there's certainly concerns about Tua, who expects medical clearance on March 9th. But that means he's not doing anything other than interviewing at the combine, I guess measurements and things of that nature. But what, other than the injury, coming back from the hip injury and the surgery, what other concerns do you have about Tua, if you have any other concerns?
Well, it's not just the hip injury. I mean, he's had ankle issues in the past. He's had knee issues in the past. So, it's a laundry list of injuries that have basically kept him on the field. I actually have Tua ranked slightly higher than Joe Burrow because of the fact that Tua has played at a much higher level for a longer period of time than Burrow. He's a terrific quarterback. He's much more than a good athlete with a strong arm at the quarterback position. He's a guy who gets it between the ears. He did a great job commanding and controlling that Alabama offense. He's an accurate passer. He knows how to use all the weapons. But the injury history, and it's not just the hip, the long line of injury history that he struggled with at Alabama has got to be a concern. It's got to be a red flag because as good as he is and all the gifts and skills that he brings, if he's on the sidelines nursing injuries, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Do you think we will see 3 quarterbacks in the top 5 picks?
No, I think you'll see 2. I think Justin Herbert is a guy who, maybe slides into that top 9, top 8 selections. A lot depends on how he interviews. He interviewed a lot at the Senior Bowl. He'll do more interviews here. Justin Herbert is sort of a dichotomy in the sense that he's got the best physical package of any quarterback in this draft. When you look at his size, his arm strength, his athleticism, his ability to make plays or in and out of the pocket, the whole package is better than any other quarterback. But he comes up shy in the areas of confidence, of coming up with the big play, of really being able to carry the offense on his shoulders, which he should have been able to do with Justin Herbert. Somebody's going to take him, I think, earlier than they should. He's got a personality that is only going to fit certain cities because he's more of an introverted type guy. He's got a great upside. Somebody's just got to learn to tap into that and have him play at that level, at that upside on an every down basis.
I read recently where maybe Detroit, even though they have Stafford, would go after Tua. The conventional wisdom is it's Miami. What do you think will happen as far as a team selecting Tua?
I don't think it's going to be Detroit. I think Detroit may look to trade out. I think Detroit's going to stay with Stafford, and maybe they get somebody later on in the draft, maybe a Jalen Hurts, maybe a guy in the late rounds like a Steven Montez to potentially develop. But I think it's going to be Stafford. I would be shocked if the Detroit Lions take a quarterback with that third selection.
Talking with Tony Pauline, draft analyst, ProFootballNetwork.com. Also hosts the Draft Analyst podcast on the Believe a Podcast Network. Chase Young, how good do you believe he is or can be?
I think he's far and away the best player in this year's draft. I think he's an explosive edge rusher. I think he's a guy that when he's on his game, opponents have to game plan around. They have to double team him. They have to keep an eye on him. He's got that sort of skill. He's a rare pass rusher, not just around the edge. He shows the ability to split double team blocks on occasion. He gets out into space and make plays. He's not going to work out at the combine. I don't think he's going to put up great testing numbers, but I think when you watch the film, you see a guy who's a great pass rusher. Now, that said, he's going to struggle against the run at times. He's a guy who's got to get a little bit bigger. He's got to get a little bit stronger and sturdier so he can hold the point on running downs in the NFL. He's also a guy that hasn't, kind of disappeared at the end of the season for Ohio State, especially in that Clemson semifinal game. I mean, he was nowhere to be found. You look at Dexter Lawrence of Clemson, the quarterback who's going to be the first pick in the 2021 draft. He came up big for Clemson time and time again, where Chase Young could not come up when Ohio State defense needed a big play. So that's going to be something that's talked about with Chase Young during the combine. I still think he's the best player in this year's draft. I think when he puts his mind to it, and he's an exceptional pass rusher for the next level, and eventually, just as he physically matures and adds a little weight to his frame, he'll turn into a complete defensive end.
It appears to me, and by no means am I a draft expert like Tony Pauline, but this could be a really good draft for wide receivers, especially in the first round. How do you see the position, and then who are your top three receivers?
I think it's more quantity than it is quality. And what I mean by that is I agree. It's incredibly deep, but I don't think you're going to have players, say, who go in the top 12 like you would with the offensive tackles. I think it's a real good offensive tackle class at the top. So I think it's a situation where you could have 6 receivers selected in round 1, but most of those receivers will be taken somewhere after the 10th pick, between picks 10 through 32. But you're going to have great depth in the 2nd and 3rd round. You'll even be able to get some decent receivers out of the 4th round of the draft. And guys that can be number 2s or number 3s at the next level. My top 3 receivers right now are Jerry Jeudy of Alabama, C.D. Lamb of Oklahoma, and then K.J. Hamler of Penn State.
Wow, you have Hamler up there, huh?
Love Hamler. He's a little bit small, and he's got some size limitations. There's no doubt about that. But he has got the speed of a Henry Ruggs or a Jerry Jeudy, and he's a real good receiver. He's an excellent pass catcher. He'll get up and he'll fight and come away with the contested grab. He hits the home run. He catches the underneath patterns with regularity. The problem with him is, I don't even know if he's going to measure in at 5'9". I haven't checked it. I know he's already measured, and so I don't know what his official height was yet.
You mentioned you didn't think that Herbert would crack the top 5, would be a top 10. How many other quarterbacks could crack the first round?
Right now, I think you're looking at 4 definite quarterbacks going in the first round. Obviously, Burrow and 2, who we talked about, Justin Herbert. The 4th being Jordan Love of Utah State. I do think there's a chance that we see a 5th quarterback in Jacob Eason of Washington enter the late part of round 1. He's a big guy. He's your classic pocket passer with a huge arm and the ability to make all the throws. The problem with Easton is he doesn't have a big body of work. Since he transferred from Georgia, 3 seasons ago, really hasn't played much football. Even his last year at Georgia, he didn't play much football. and he shows some inconsistency, but he's got an NFL arm, and he can make all the NFL passes.
Does Jalen Hurts' game translate into the NFL?
That's a good question. It didn't look like it did at the Senior Bowl and during Senior Bowl practices, and I was someone who gushed over Hurts all season long because I thought he was making major strides as a passer. I like what I saw with his accuracy, with his decision-making. But then when he was asked to play in a sort of a regular NFL-type scheme at the Senior Bowl, he struggled basically for 2.5 practices. He finally put it together the last portion of the last day of practice. So I think there's some question about that. I think there's going to be – it's going to take a bit of time and development with Jalen Hurts, and he's definitely not a guarantee at the next level.
You mentioned the offensive tackles. Do you believe that's the best position?
As far as I think it's probably the top heaviest position. Okay. I think the difference between the tackles and the receivers is the tackle position is going to start to peter out somewhere in round 2, where the receiver position, that's really where it's really going to start to strengthen up, and where you're going to get to see, you're going to have some depth at the position. I think with the situation with the offensive tackles, if you want an offensive tackle, you're going to have to take one in the initial 60 selections, because the guys after that are more developmental type players, backup tackles, or even tackles who may project to guard, where when you look at the receiver positions, 3rd and 4th round, I think you can still come out of the draft with guys who could potentially be productive number 3 and even develop into number 2 receivers at the next level.
By the way, it looks like Hamler measured 5'8" and 5/8.
Yeah, okay. So he's just over 5'8.5". Yeah. That's what I figured.
Fraction under 5'9", pretty much. Tony, as you know, the University of Memphis has produced several NFL players here over the last couple of years. This year, I know at the Combine, Patrick Taylor, Antonio Gibson will be there. Do you have any thoughts on those guys?
Well, as I reported on Pro Football Network yesterday for the second time, Patrick Taylor is going to work out. He's going to get all the testing scores for scouts, and then he's going to have foot surgery again. Because what I'm told is the first surgery that he had last year was, I don't want to say it was not done correctly, but it wasn't completed correctly. So he's going to need another surgery, and he's going to have the surgery after the Combine. It's a rehabilitation process that's going to take 4 to 6 months.
Wow.
So we may not see Patrick Taylor on the NFL field for a while. Now, that said, when he's on the field, he is a darn good player. He is a guy who can grind it out on the inside. He's got excellent vision. He's tough to bring down. He picks up a lot of yardage off initial contact. Not a true perimeter runner, but a guy that can get around the corner. A decent pass catcher out of the backfield. It was sad to see the issue with the foot, because I think that hurt his development. I spoke with somebody yesterday who said they see elements of David Johnson in Patrick Taylor's game. It's just a matter of, how soon does he come back from the foot injury, and how is he when he returns from the foot injury? Because I think he can play at the next level. There's no doubt about it. As far as Gibson's concerned, he caught a lot of people by surprise. He was someone who was not even graded by scouts coming into the season, had a terrific campaign in 2019 at receiver, running back. The thing with Gibson is, what position is he going to play at the next level? Is he a ball carrier? Is he a running back? If he gets drafted, it's probably going to be in the very late rounds. I could see Gibson spending a year or two on the practice squad as he develops his game and teams kind of figure out what he is at the next level. Is he a third down back where you can use him to carry the ball and catch out of the backfield? The fact is you look at where he is today as opposed to where he was just 9 months ago entering the season when scouts weren't even aware of him, and it's a terrific story.
Well, terrific stuff as always from Tony Pauline, NFL draft analyst at ProFootballNetwork.com. Also a host on the Draft Analyst podcast that's on the Believe Podcast Network. He'll be heading to Indy tomorrow. You can follow him on Twitter at Tony Pauline. Tony, as always, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Mid-South Ag Equipment, the place to go for all your equipment needs. They've got the best in the business, the Case IH Farmall series of tractors, the full line of tractors, any size for any chore that you might have. Plus, they've got the Bush Hog cutters, Bush Hog zero-turn lawnmowers as well. We're getting to that time of year. Spring's going to be getting here, and folks are going to be hitting the fields. And before you do that, you need to go check out the equipment at Mid-South Ag Equipment, see what deals they have. They can also service any current equipment that you've got to get you ready for the spring months and to get out there into the fields. Mid-South Ag Equipment is located just south of Collierville on Goodman Road. It's a half-mile west of the Goodman Road exit off of I-269. Online at midsouthag.com, where you can check out that full line of tractors and all the other stuff that they have, plus any special financing options and deals they've got going. You can find it right there on the website at midsouthag.com.
All right, Eli's bolting out of here. He's heading down to Oxford, going to call the Rebels baseball game today, so I'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow, hopefully.
If all things go according to plan. I'll come back with the final segment here on Middays. Got a couple of interesting stories to wrap up this Tuesday edition. This is Sports 56 Middays on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats. Weekday afternoons from 3 till 6. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Let's up your life with Let's.
Spring is almost here, and this is the perfect time to visit Lads of Memphis for all your golf cart and lawn tractor needs. Visit their open house on Saturday, March 7th, and check out the new Spartan mowers and current promotions. Test drive a new Club Car Onward golf cart and spin the prize wheel for a chance to win up to $500 in Lads credit.
Let's up your life with Let's. Let's up your life.
Everyone agrees that February is the most romantic month, not just because of Valentine's Day, but because it's so cold. This is the month when we really have to share that body heat. And if you want romance, you simply can't beat 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Take your significant other out for the dinner of their life at 117 Prime, and romance will definitely be in the air. A great wine list, a huge selection of bourbons, perfect steaks, and of course, the best oyster bar in downtown Memphis. Take the one you love to 117 Prime, and you'll definitely be sharing body heat later.
Did you learn your ABCs when you were a kid? Well, as a grown-up, it's time to learn your CBDs, as in CBD edibles, oil tincture, pain cream, and beauty products, all found at Your CBD Store. With 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, North Germantown Parkway, and Goodman Road East. You'll find all natural, organic, and non-GMO products. Need to learn more? Your CBD Store has a knowledgeable and friendly staff that can answer questions, help with choices, and put you at ease about your CBDs. Your CBD Store with 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, Cordova, and South Haven. Your CBD Store, making it as easy for you as ABC CBD.
Now, back to Sports 56 Middays presented by FedEx. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoie.
Welcome back, everybody. Final segment here on Sports 56 Middays. Following the Middays program, Sports 56 Happy Hour, Johnny Radio will come your way from 1 to 3. Eli on his way to Oxford. I'll be on the call with Jeff Brightwell of Memphis Tigers baseball this afternoon. That's a 4 o'clock scheduled first pitch from FedEx Park. The Tigers taking on Central Arkansas today. So this is interesting, Gabe. A senior member of the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, said Tuesday that if it proves too dangerous to hold the Olympics in Tokyo this summer because of the coronavirus outbreak, organizers are more likely to cancel it altogether than to postpone or move it. Could you imagine?
No Olympics.
Could you imagine that? Now, we've had situations where it was boycotted by countries, back in the communist regimes and things of that nature, but that would be something. You know how much effort and money and preparation is put into putting on an Olympic Games?
But I understand the thought process. You can't have all your athletes out there in close quarters. If someone were to get it, it would be deadly, possibly.
This is becoming a very, very serious outbreak, and now it's all over the world, starting, in Asia, but now it's everywhere, including our country. Now, the senior member who brought this up in this story for the IOC. His name is Dick Pound. I'm not making that up.
I know you're not.
A former Canadian swimming champion who's been on the IOC since 1978. In fact, he is the longest-serving member. Dick Pound. So there you go.
Was that vital information?
And the rest.
Was that vital information? That's the one question.
And now the rest of the story. That's his name. I mean, that's the story. I'm giving you a story. Guy wrote it. I got to tell you who the story was written by. Also, Tom Brady, the Patriots quarterback who may be somewhere else in 2020, shared a 5-paragraph essay Tuesday that he wrote about how he has been deeply affected by the death of Kobe Bryant, Bryant's daughter Gianna, and 7 others in a January helicopter crash. In the piece posted on social media titled, "What's Really Important?" Brady wrote that after witnessing the outpouring of love and support for the families that had so much left to give, it has helped him reflect and gain perspective. He shared that the tragedy has kept him up at night and led to many tears. In Kobe, we were able to witness the man in the arena. For many of us, sports show what we are made of. They define our personalities and emotions. We cannot hide from the good or the bad, from the wins or the losses, the joy and despair, the happiness and the plain," Brady wrote. Here's the thing. Unfortunately for Kobe, his life snuffed out so quickly, so short after leaving the game of basketball. He was just getting started on everything he wanted to do post-playing days, right? Here's Tom Brady at 42, who has said he wants to play till he's 45. Does he have – nobody's brought this up as a possibility because it doesn't appear that it'll happen. But if all of a sudden you're talking about what's really important, and that would be family time and things of that nature other than playing the game, does it alter his viewpoint on how much longer he wants to play in the NFL?
I don't think so. It's a tragedy. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy what has happened. But this is something that is a freak accident, and that's probably what's made it so hard to digest. I don't know if Tom Brady's thinking in that way, but I know it's going to probably have an effect on him after he gets done. I do believe he'll play for another 2-3 years. I don't think it's going to change that, but I think after that it's going to affect how he acts.
Okay. Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines will not be traveling abroad in what has become an annual spring trip because of fears over the coronavirus. That, according to a school official, the football team will not be taking an international trip this spring. That's been one of the incentives for the recruits to come and play at Michigan, not only to play for a great football program with rich tradition and history, but they go on this beautiful trip to Europe or wherever internationally.
It threw me off because he could go somewhere where there's not a coronavirus problem. Like, they've been to South Africa, they've been over in Europe. Like, they could go somewhere where it's not an issue. And also, I have a buddy who played at Michigan and talked about those trips. Apparently, Harbaugh gets them to sleep pretty early, like 8 p.m. Doesn't let them really go out on the town on those situations. Yeah,
8 o'clock.
Yeah, early. Well, I don't know if it's 8 o'clock.
Off
8
season?
or 9.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Off season.
Wow.
Tries to get them to bed early.
And they drink milk. A lot of milk.
Yeah, a lot of milk. And eat a lot of steak.
From the world of baseball, a Bronx Supreme Court judge granted a protective order for New York Yankees outfielder Brett Gardner against a fan. Gardner, 36, filed a request last week against, no, it's not a dude, some woman named Gina, and I won't even take a guess at her last name, long last name, and said in court documents that she has harassed and menaced him and his family. Bronx Supreme Court Justice Eddie McShann said he granted the request Monday because of the possibility of injury. Gardner has told the court that this woman, Gina, believes they have some sort of relationship, but he said they have never met in person.
You have people like that in your life?
I was just going to ask you, Gabe, as a former star offensive lineman for the Memphis Tigers, if you had a stalker.
No, never in my life. I would think you would, man.
I haven't had a stalker. I've had some.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I get you.
Back in the day, the phone calls, the things like that.
Semi-stalkers.
Yeah, just very
not
minimal.
Brett Gardner level.
Very minimal. Time now for one final thing.
Before Greg and Eli get out of here for the day, they each have one final thing they think you should know to make it through the rest of your day. So here are Greg and Eli with one final thing.
Emergency backup goaltender David Ayres, a Canadian citizen who is an employee of the Toronto Maple Leafs, was named an honorary North Carolinian on Tuesday by North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Cooper submitted a proclamation honoring Ayres, noting that the 42-year-old Zamboni driver and kidney transplant survivor embodied the state's motto, which I believe this is Latin, and I hope I don't butcher it, esse quam vedere. Could be Italian, but I think it's Latin, which means to be rather than to seem. When both of the Hurricanes goaltenders left Saturday's game versus the Maple Leafs with injuries, we talked about this yesterday, Ayres came in as the designated emergency backup, wearing a Hurricanes jersey and a helmet featuring Toronto hockey decals, because he's a huge fan of the Maple Leafs. Ayres stopped 8 of 10 shots to get credit for the 6-3 win. So now he's an honorary North Carolinian. Congratulations to David Ayres.
That is still the most bizarre rule in sports, though. You have to have an on-site emergency goalie for both teams.
Well, again, this reared its ugly head, and I say ugly head because of the injuries to the goalkeepers several years ago, and Eli and I were talking about it on the show. I had not heard of it before that. I don't think Eli did, and we were wowed by it. So now that we see the story, it's still amazing because this guy comes back from the transplant. He's a Zamboni driver of all things. He's 42. But the emergency goalkeeper part of it, we already knew because we talked about one of these stories. But it's absolutely astonishing.
It's only sport, to my knowledge, that has something like that. I mean, of the big money makers in this country.
Right. You think about football, they have a taxi squad. You have guys on the practice squad, but they're not going to go into the locker room, get dressed, and go out there and play during a game when there's an injury. Now, some would say, well, you have the clipboard quarterback.
Well, with the practice squad, that's their job. They're still playing football every day. This is a guy who's driving a Zamboni.
Right. They're not
on a daily basis.
They're not the good humor ice cream salesman driving around in a good humor truck, and all of a sudden they're there to back up anybody on a Sunday afternoon. Big thanks to our great guests today, Tony Pauline, Don Wade, and Steve Macy. Jerry Palm tomorrow among our guests. We'll also have dinner and a movie. That's coming up on the Wednesday edition of Midday. Stay tuned. Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio is coming up next. For Eli Savoie and Gabe Kuhn, I'm Greg Gaston. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, folks.
Out of my socks. That red-headed stranger I'm not. But buddy, let me tell you what. If you ask, go where